Good afternoon. We will call this meeting to order of the Sacramento City Council, the 2 p.m. council hearing. Please call the roll.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaplan.
Here.
Councilmember Dickinson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Talamontes.
Here.
Councilmember Pluckybaum.
Here.
Councilmember Maple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Vang.
I'm here.
And Mayor McCarty.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Councilmember Garrett, can you lead us in the land acknowledgement and the pledge?
Please rise for the opening acknowledgement in honor of Sacramento's indigenous people and tribal lands. To the original people of this land, the Nisenan people, the Southern Maidu, the Valley and Plains Miwok, and the Patwin-Wintun people, and the people of the Wilton Rancheria, Sacramento's only federally recognized tribe. May we acknowledge and honor the Native people who came before us and still walk beside us today on these ancestral lands, by choosing to gather together today in the active practice of acknowledgement and appreciation for Sacramento's indigenous people's history, contributions, and lives. Thank you. Face flag, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you. We'll begin today with a special item that I asked to place on the agenda related to the implementation of Prop 36. This was a contentious issue across the state throughout the election cycle, but an issue that we worked on for a number of years. And it's come to fruition here in Sacramento. The voters overwhelmingly passed Prop 36, including right here in the county and the city of Sacramento. And it's important for us to talk about what this will look like in our community. So with that, I ask that we have today a workshop, a panel discussion with our district attorney, our police chief, our county behavioral health director, small business advocate, and communities involved in the reentry community to focus on what this measure looks like. So it's our opportunity to really engage, have a question and answers with our leaders today as far as what this would look like, hopefully for the betterment of Sacramento. So with that, I would ask that we refrain from asking questions until we have all the presenters. So here's how it's going to go. We have, 6 presenters. Then we're going to ask the mayor and council to engage any questions, so forth, back and forth to the presenters, and then we will go to public comment. So with that, we're going to ask our Sacramento Police Chief, Kathy Lester, to begin and start us off. Thank you, Chief Lester.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. So we're here really to talk about Prop 36, and I'm trying not to drop stuff all over the floor. Our DA is going to be talking about what the law actually is, and I'm going to be talking about implementation, not just strengths, but some of the challenges that we have. But I have to say, this is, I think, a huge win for our community and for law enforcement, really try and get people the treatment that they need and hold people accountable. I know we have a number of people here in the audience that are scheduled to speak and talk about the impacts that really unfettered crime has on our community, and then certainly the challenges that we have when people that need treatment can't get the help that they need. And I hope that with Prop 36, we can see some significant changes. So Prop 36, which is known as the Homelessness, Drug Addiction, and Theft Reduction Act, allows felony charges increases in sentences for certain drug and theft crimes. And the DA will go into some of the diversion programs that are also a big piece of it. But Californians overwhelmingly backed Prop 36 to lengthen sentences for certain theft and drug offenses and to direct more people to drug treatment after convictions. So Prop 36, we've done some extensive training, and I'm going to talk about what we've done for our department. This is specific to the Sacramento Police Department, but I know that a lot of our law enforcement agencies in the county are doing something similar. So I'll start with what the Sacramento DA did, which was provide some significant training for law enforcement in the region. And I'm sure Tin will talk about it, but we had about a 20-minute training video, and they also have a dedicated page on their website for the public to access information about Prop 36. Internally, we included Prop 36 and all of the changes because there are a number of laws that changed with this with our legal update at the beginning of December. So Prop 36 went into effect on December 18th, and we got in front of it by talking about really all the different changes. So this is the first page of about a 10-page document. It is available, like all of our training, on our website. So we started with this, and then we actually even distilled it down further to create a quick reference card and quick reference sheet for officers that are in the field. And we've broken it down by Prop 36, narcotics and organized retail theft charges, just to make it easier to make sure that we're charging the appropriate crime when it's applicable. And I will say this is a pretty significant change for patrol officers. Most of our patrol officers have 5 years or less in the field, and Prop 47 has always been in place prior to Prop 36. This is a little bit of uncharted territory for them, and so it was quite the lift to make sure that everyone was up to speed on some of these new challenges. I'm also going to talk about strategy. So I think the community outreach piece is a big piece of this, as well as community input. Before Prop 36, we did actually have a number of successes. So even though the laws were not necessarily favorable to accountability on low-level thefts and some of our narcotics, we worked very closely with our public safety partnership team. If you remember, I brought that forward in 22 as part of our violent crime reduction strategy. And we've initiated a number of strategic deployments known as STRIDE initiatives, where we've seized a large number of narcotics. And I think that's really important because we often talk about homicide and violent crime, but if you look at the number of people that have died from fentanyl in this county over the last 3 years, it is disturbing and really upsetting, to say the least. Now, we've seen a reduction last year, but there are far too many people that are dying from overdoses in the county. You can go to the county website where they track that and show the significant impact that has in our city. We also have street-level teams, including patrol and our violent crime reduction teams, that have been very diligent about street-level enforcement and doing investigative follow-up. I have to say, our patrol officers and our specialty units are phenomenal when it comes to doing that additional investigative follow-up, seeking search warrants, and pursuing crime even after an initial stop, and they've been very, very successful. And then we are going to be working with our partners in the future. Our DA and I have already discussed doing some joint operations where we dedicate resources to do focused enforcement around Prop 36. For our strategy development, we really sought input from groups like Arden Fair Mall, who we work with quite frequently, Rayleigh's, and all of our area captains to determine the most common concerns. And what I am going to share with you is probably not a surprise. Most complaints were that people were suffering from organized and repeat offenders, and these offenders may not always be part of an organized retail theft criminal ring, but certainly their repeated petty theft caused serious losses and certainly workload for staff and for law enforcement. I would say it's not an efficient use of your police resources to continue to respond to the same offender without being able to really address this issue, and I hope that we can be more effective in that in the future. We're also looking towards best practices. So for example, we've spoken to the Philadelphia Police Department, who took on a similar function to really determine strategies that have worked for them. And like anything, we'll look at those strategies and see what will help us here. Working with our DA, I think, has been critical, and I really have to commend DA Ho for being on the front line of this issue statewide, talking about the importance of this and bringing voters to the table. I think he's been a strong advocate of accountability and certainly a supporter of enforcement actions, and has been a great partner for us here in the county. So with him, we have worked on developing an outline for private businesses and officers to utilize while taking these types of reports to make prosecution easier and hopefully with less follow-up so that we can get to prosecution and diversion when necessary, and also to make this reporting easier for our loss prevention officers. As many of you know, we have been taking part in a regional ORC, organized retail crime meeting here. We've been a part of that for over the last year. We've met with our CHP ORC task force, and we're developing ways to collaborate with them to run more operations. And so even though we don't have the ability necessarily to assign an officer full-time, this is still a priority for us. Captain Ethan Hansen couldn't be here today, but I have our Lieutenant Sang Park and I also have Lieutenant McCauley with us, who have been able to dedicate a detective and a sergeant to overseeing ORC cases. They will be the point of contact both internally and externally and help develop our response strategy. And we have a detective who has been assigned prolific petty theft offenders and ORC cases as his full-time task. He will be the main coordinating liaison for our ORC regional group, our LPOs, our area commands, and the DA's office, and has already done a great job adopting multiple cases. Our internal initiatives, obviously this is a point of discussion at our crime strategies meeting, and we're continuing to use detectives to help identify any commonly targeted locations, times and days or items, and advising our operations to try and deter theft. The other thing that we're going to do that was very effective for us with our violent crime reduction strategy was to identify prolific offenders and not just let the warrant system, a warrant be issued and hopefully they get stopped, but to proactively go out and seek people that have warrants in this issue to try and deter and prevent additional victims and theft. On community outreach, we conducted a pretty well-attended press conference on January 16th. Thank you, Mayor McCarty, for coming and speaking at that, because I think it really shows the strength of our regional effort here. We will be coming to council in a few weeks to look at purchasing a new reporting system. Our current online system is pretty dated. It's not great, I'll be honest, and it doesn't really function the way I would like to see it function. And so we'll be talking about that because I think that our reporting will increase. Right now, across the state, you saw an increase in larceny and theft-related offenses. We actually haven't seen that in Sacramento. We've seen a reduction over the last 5 years, but we also know that we have a possible under-reporting issue. So I'm hoping that this will give us a better picture with more actionable items on what we can actually do and how we can help people. And then we do have some challenges. I'll talk about some reductions to service. So we've had reductions to our services since the Great Recession. If you remember, we completely eliminated narcotics, financial crimes, our vice, and we really limited our cold property crimes, misdemeanors, and non-injury traffic accidents. And unfortunately, those are not services that we've been able to bring back in the last 10 years. And then just additionally, in the last few years, we've seen some additional reductions, including the loss of about 34 sworn positions. So we've centralized robbery and burglary, trying to do as much as we can and be as efficient as we can, but we have had to eliminate certain cannabis positions. We eliminated our shot spotter teams. We reduced the size of some of our teams, and then we eliminated our mental health unit when we stood up our impact team to help with IMT, eliminated outreach engagement, and eliminated some supervisory positions. At the same time, we've seen tremendous and very positive growth in the city. A lot of us were at the State of the Downtown Breakfast, and it's so exciting to see what's happening in our city. We have great growth, but between 2008, when we were staffed at 804, until now, our population's increased by 14%. Last year's census showed that we had about 526,000 people in our city. And so, it's a challenge. Certainly, we've changed the way we've done policing. I'm very proud of that in the last 14 or 15 years. We spent a lot more time using our resources, de-escalating and training our officers to take the time to reduce, negative incidents. And I think we've been very successful with that. But we have also seen some pretty significant reductions to staffing. Right now, we're currently sitting on 172 vacancies, if you can believe that. 82 sworn officers and 90 professional staff positions. If you look at what we were authorized in 2008 to what we actually have now, we're down about 20% in sworn and down about 44% in our professional staff, which is a challenge. And then one thing that I don't know that a lot of people are aware of, and I'll end quickly on this, is just our lengthy delays in jail booking. This has been a challenge for every law enforcement agency in our region. Due to changes at jail, over about 50% of our bookings take between an hour and a half and 3 hours. An additional 20% take over 3 hours. And we produce a quarterly report for jail intake. This represents about 40% of our arrests, so it's a fairly sizable sample. We've also had to staff that with overtime officers to the tune of about 6,000 or more hours in the last 3 years, and that's cost us over $500,000. Additionally, we have booking fees of over $500,000 every year. So my concern with that is, and actually one of our fellow chiefs, when we had the the Prop 36 roundtable with the DA, he said, look, I staff 4 officers for my entire city. It's a half an hour to go downtown and you're at jail for 3 or 4 hours. It's a real challenge. And one thing that we are not able to quantify is how many lost hours we have for availability of police officers when they're stuck at jail for 1, 2, 3 hours, and they're not on the streets and they're not able to respond to calls when we already have really, really strained staffing. So I thought it was important to make the audience aware of these challenges, and I certainly hope the county can make some changes to make that easier for every law enforcement agency within our county. And with that, I think I'll turn it over to our DA unless you have any questions of me. Okay, thank you.
We have a moment to set up. Thank you.
Always prepared like it's going to trial.
So good afternoon. First of all, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak, and also for your leadership in setting up such a forum so that the community can hear what law enforcement is doing in regards to Proposition 36 and your time in the legislature on public safety as it relates to Prop 36 and some of the issues that were coming up on the poison pill. I also like to thank Councilmember Lisa Kaplan and Phil Pluckenbaum, who supported Prop 36, along with the Sac Metro Chamber, who helped push that across the finish line. I spent several months last year raising money and campaigning across the state in regards to Proposition 36 because it afforded law enforcement, including the DA's office, the necessary tools to deal with homelessness, to deal with theft, and to deal with fentanyl poisoning. So those are the 3 main buckets. And sort of to explain how that process works and what it is that we are doing at the DA's office and with law enforcement, I want to address those 3 buckets. Let's start first with fentanyl. We seized enough fentanyl in law enforcement here in California last year to kill every single person on the face of the earth. That's how much fentanyl we had seized in California. All it takes is a packet of sugar worth of fentanyl to kill 500 people. And last year in Sacramento County, we had over 400 people die from fentanyl poisoning. And that number has been consistent from the year before. So when I took over as a district attorney, my office had not once prosecuted a single individual for murder for selling fentanyl that caused the death of someone. And so we created a task force at the Sacramento DA's office, along with a coalition of law enforcement, to investigate fentanyl poisoning from the get-go. The problem is that the penalties involved in fentanyl were fairly minor compared to other drugs and with the changes in Prop 47. So what is happening right now is that with the task force, we have now charged 12 people in Sacramento County for murder for selling fentanyl. In addition, we are going after the dealers of fentanyl, and with Proposition 36, we have the tools to do so. And we have seen a reduction by over 40% of fentanyl deaths last year, and we hope to continue that number. In regards to theft offenses, I was talking to one of the major retailers with the big box stores in Sacramento, and he told me that his particular store here in Sacramento saw a 252% increase in theft in 1 year. That particular store was the #1 theft location in the entire region for their big box retailer. In addition to that, Sacramento was #1 in the country in regards to theft for that particular company. And we see a significant, maybe even only a third of the theft cases actually reported. So although we see the number in theft offenses have gone down, the reality is theft offenses have increased. And we see that in terms of different pharmacies and stores closing throughout our region. And so what are we doing with Proposition 36? As you may see that there is a board over here and a sticker as well. What we are doing is if you have 2 prior theft convictions under the law, the third can be charged as a felony. And the way my office is approaching it is with a measure of moderation and discretion. So if you are stealing for personal sustenance, if you are stealing to eat, we will not charge you with a felony. We will instead charge that as a misdemeanor and try to engage in our collaborative courts to get the services necessary. But there's a difference between stealing one steak and 20 filet mignons. There is a difference between stealing one bottle of baby formula and $4,000 worth. And so if you are engaging in repeat theft offenses, we will prosecute you for felonies in regards to that. And what I can provide to you is in the 2 months since the initiation of Proposition 36, we have charged under the theft offenses 129 different individuals for theft under Proposition 36. 89 of them have been felonies. The remaining 40 have been misdemeanors when they are related to personal sustenance. So we will continue to actively pursue accountability when it comes to theft. And what I can tell you is that in my conversation with an owner of a mall here in Sacramento with Mark Friedman, he has told me that he has seen theft offenses, organized theft offenses, drop significantly at his business. And so Proposition 36 has a deterrence effect and an accountability effect when it comes to theft. Now, in regards to the third category, or the third bucket as it relates to drug possession and drug use, and I have approached it with a level of moderation. And what do I mean by that? Several years ago, we had 3 strikes law in the state of California. In particular, we had some individuals that were getting sent to prison for stealing slices of pizza. And what I want to make sure is that here in Sacramento County, that we are not draconian when it comes to the application of our drug laws, so that it doesn't disproportionately affect black and brown communities. It doesn't disproportionately affect one group versus the other. Because at the core of Proposition 36, it's about mass treatment and not mass incarceration. So the law allows this, and what I would tell you is what we are doing. So the law allows, for example, if you have 2 prior drug convictions at any point in your life, the third can be charged as a felony. So what I have done as a measure of moderation is I have put a 10-year washout period so that the 2 prior convictions must happen within 10 years of the current offense. I don't want a situation where somebody has 2 drug convictions from 25 years ago and all of a sudden they're facing a felony now, years later. So there's a 10-year washout period that I put into place that those 2 convictions have to be within 10 years. The very first conviction that is eligible for a felony for possession of drugs, I charge as a misdemeanor. And then we put a warning not only on the complaint, but also in court, notifying the individual that you are given an opportunity here to accept treatment. And if you successfully complete it, it will be dismissed. But if you proceed and you are unable to deal with your drug addiction and you pick up another offense, then what will happen is we will charge you with a felony. And the purpose of that felony is not to send people to prison or to incarcerate them, but to use it as a means to get the treatment they need. And I know that when our mayor here was in the assembly, we had worked on Sacramento Hope, a program that uses nonviolent, low-level offenses to get them the treatment they need. And now I actually have the tools to do so when it comes to drug addiction. And as that measure of moderation, what I can tell you is that in the last 2 months since the initiation of Proposition 36, we have charged 51 individuals with misdemeanor related to drug possession and 2 felonies. But individuals who are in the throes of addiction will continue to pick up those offenses, and we will utilize them in a humane way to get treatment. And I know that somebody here from the county will speak in a moment about the treatment services that we have. We have treatment services that are both in and out of custody. We have revised the assessment protocols for the county to make sure that if somebody is getting the treatment and getting released from custody, that they do so only after a thorough evaluation so that they do not present a public safety crisis. And so we are going to be dedicated to implementing Proposition 36 in a fair way, but a way that is also accountable to ensure that we have a safe and clean community. And with that, I do want to let you know that I know that our chief talked about future collaboration. In the next 30 to 45 days, we will be initiating a collaboration in which we are going to be focusing on Proposition 36 offenses. And how do we hold drug dealers accountable? How do we get people under the influence of drugs into the treatment they need, and also help our small businesses recover from theft offenses? And you'll hear from them soon. So with that, I want to thank you very much, and I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions later. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Joel Hockman, is owner of Pucci Pharmacy, with a small business perspective.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, council members, and guests. Thank you. I am Joel Hockman, owner of Pucci's Pharmacy, 95 years old this year. Not me, the store. And I also own Eddie's Pharmacy in Los Angeles. We supported this proposition wholeheartedly. We have been broken into. We've not, fortunately, been robbed, which is, we're just continuing to knock on wood that doesn't happen. But we have been burglarized at least 25 times. Those are often happening in the middle of the night. They seem to be very coordinated. When we look at video footage and compare video footage from other pharmacies, we see the same perpetrators, same clothing, same weapons. We have seen the same perpetrators in our store multiple times. And we know that they're not the ones that are, taking the drugs for use. They're taking those drugs for resale. We have since put in a lot of security protocols, and since January 2023, we have not experienced a burglary since that point in time. We do know that what we hear from a lot of pharmacies and even the big box stores, the CVS's and the Walgreens, because we're kind of in some of those conversations and being alerted to their closures, is that the reason they're citing it is organized crime. That's why. This is a huge problem. It's a huge problem we continue to face. It's a problem that we know is going to come back to us at some point. Being a small pharmacy, we don't seem to be the target for some of these organized activities, but the cost is significant. Any one of those events costs us a minimum of $5,000. We've been during 2020, during the civil unrest, over $80,000 in losses that we've experienced due to this. So we are absolutely supportive of this. We'd like to see, I think, even greater teeth to this. Part of our challenge is we have video footage, we've got all kinds of evidence, but we can never seem to capture these folks. We can't. Law enforcement, for whatever reason, cannot track them down. They're very good at evading law enforcement. We have camera footage from the street where you would think we would get a license plate. Nope, they remove the license plate from the vehicle before they pull up. So it's just nearly impossible for us to capture them. We really do support this, and we hope that we can apprehend more of these folks. That's kind of one side of it. The other side of it is it's the end users. How do we stop the end users from wanting to acquire these drugs? Whether it's, social, recreational use, what have you. How do we prevent that from happening? We have to stop the demand, and then hopefully that will also stop the suppliers from going in and trying to get the stuff. I know that a lot of these smash and grabs, they're taking that product to resell so that they can then go on and acquire the illegal substances, which are often valued even more, and resell those things. Not sure what our answer is here. I don't know that any of us have figured that out yet, but it is definitely something that has to happen. From our perspective, we're going to continue to do everything we can to protect our store, protect our customers, and protect these products from getting in the hands of the public that don't have valid prescriptions for those things. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Next, we have Joseph Osorio, who's with the Anti-Recidivism Coalition.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and thank you for this opportunity. On behalf of the Anti-Recidivism Coalition here in Sacramento and in Los Angeles, my name is Joseph Osorio. I am the Associate Director. I'm going to be sharing some information regarding our community, some of the concerns, and some of the ideas that many of our community members and actual members who are really on the other side of the coin, some of these offenders, have shared with us since the passing of Prop 36. Full transparency, ARC was not for Prop 36. However, that has passed. We are here now, and we're really just trying to work with police officials, district attorney, community partners, the city to figure out a way, what's the best way to assist our community. It's definitely a tall task. We understand that the smash and grabs are a big concern. We understand that there's fentanyl issues, and nowhere are we trying to downplay that, and we recognize the severity of it. But what we want to do is find out the reason why these unfortunate situations are happening. We want to do our best to support the community and also support the folks who are struggling with many of these addictions. And so, as you can see here on the screen, we've shared some components that we believe are very important and discussing not just with officials, not just with the district attorney, but with community members as well. And so, like, the biggest thing is prevention, right? How do we work together to prevent these issues? I think that's a really big question. While we want to focus on incarceration and focus on treatment, we also want to prevent this from happening because we understand that many folks are being victimized. It's costing taxpayers a ton of money, and we really want to do our best. And, you know, I know we don't have all the answers, but if we can brainstorm and figure out ways to prevent these issues, whether it's providing alternatives here in the community, making sure that folks are given the opportunity, economic availability, employment availability, which are some of the biggest drives to, you know, for a person to go to these extreme steps. And it's not making excuses, but these are just flat out facts, and we've seen it time in, time out. So what opportunities do these members actually have? And then how can we support those who are affected? I mean, it's unfortunate that these businesses are struggling and victims of these fentanyl or drug cases are having these horrific, you know, events happen to them. But how can we also support them as well? The partnerships, I think, you know, we're all here at this table to make sure that we can strengthen local partnerships here in Sacramento, investing time and financial means into our community-based organizations. That's who we are. That's what we do. We're the boots on the ground. We're not only in our community, but we're also in many of our state and local institutions, county jails, and juvenile halls. And so we're the folks who are going in there and understanding what's going on, you know, with these individuals and doing the rehabilitative work. And so strengthening these partnerships, I think, would be a huge plus for not only prevention, but for assisting folks in their rehabilitation and eventually their reentry back into society, specifically here in Sacramento. What we've been utilizing are the credible messengers, so folks who have lived experience, who have once upon a time been the folks who are the perpetrators, who are now you know, business owners, professionals, in trade unions, working here at the state capitol. I mean, we got folks with lived experience that can help many of these individuals who are struggling with their addictions. Resources, the key word, providing resources, and that's what we're here about. Alternatives. So while we understand that much of the language that's represented in Prop 36 is about possibly longer sentences, there is an emphasis on providing treatment for folks who are struggling. We definitely want to have that conversation and see what other options we have. Education is very important. I think many of the communities that are struggling with these issues, there's a lack of education there. There's a lack of employment, a lack of housing, which is a driving factor for many of these things to happen. And so if we can talk about alternatives other than incarcerating individuals, how can we work on these treatment facilities? How can we roll out therapy for individuals who are struggling? And so for the community, I think a big part of it is the fear, right? The unknown. I would say it's fairly early to discuss what the rollout has been for Prop 36, since we're only a few months in. Long-term effects we're uncertain of, but our community is talking about it, and they want to know if they're really going to be safe, right? Folks want to know if there's going to be policing. Now, I'm not accusing the police department of that, by no means, but these are just some of the concerns that folks have, right? There's big trust issues, and so our community is asking, are these concerns that we should have? How do we pay for this? I mean, it's bad enough that many of these small businesses here in Sacramento and across the state are being vandalized, robbed. But now I believe that business owners are assuming that the folks who get incarcerated, it's going to change something. But now, not only do they have to be incarcerated, but they're going to have to pay for this person's incarceration. So where they're losing money at their business from, the vandalism that's going on, now they're also having to pay tax dollars to incarcerate these individuals. And so it's a difficult situation. So we want to make sure that the income or the financial part of it is being directed for services that are really going to help individuals. Is it going into community-based organizations? Is there an actual process for folks while they're inside to receive these services? Resources were stretched very thin, and I know this because I work inside of many of our CDCR facilities, and I work inside many of our county jails, and there are waiting lists for individuals to receive therapy, to receive treatment. I can only imagine what that's going to do now with the implementation of Prop 36. And so our community wants to know, are these folks really going to have access to these things? And that's something that we hope to be able to have a conversation about. Do DAs and police officers have too much influence? That's a big fear in our community, right? I think folks don't truly understand the ins and outs. They hear long-term sentences. They hear they're cracking down on folks. And so I think it's very important for district attorneys and police officers to meet in our communities and to educate not only business partners, but educate the folks who are in our communities that don't know what's happening and reassure them that there is opportunity and that we're here to help them. And so here today, my hope is that we can strengthen our partnerships. We can work together collaboratively. Our organization is here in Sacramento. We have an office off of G Street. We work with these individuals who are currently and formerly incarcerated. And if there's any way that we can assist in this process, more than happy to. We have a wealth of knowledge. We have tons of resources. We have therapy that's offered outside, directly out of our office. We have connections with transitional housing. We help folks with treatment plans through our office. There's one-on-one mentorship, and there's also career opportunities for folks who need the help. And so we're simply here today to reassure our community that we're going to stand with them and that we're also going to do our part to assist with the concerns in the community. I want to thank you all for this opportunity. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you. Next, Nicole Cable with the Sacramento County Behavioral Health Department.
Hi, I'm Nicole Cable. I'm a health program manager with our Sacramento County Behavioral Health. I oversee our court and justice-involved programs. Next slide. So one of my programs is what is currently our mental health diversion collaborative courts program. And if you could go to the next slide. We are currently already providing services or assessment and linkage to those individuals who are being considered for mental health diversion. At this time, it is our expectation that we will continue to provide those same referrals of linkages and services to the individuals who are being considered under Prop 36. So our current process is we have screenings and assessments for both mental health and substance use treatment that we are providing for all of those individuals. We are providing a level of care recommendation and a linkage to one of our mental health and or substance use programs within the behavioral health plan. Our current programs support mental health diversion, mental health treatment court, and our misdemeanor incompetent to stand trial. We will be also now including the Prop 36 individuals as they are referred to us through their public defenders or the conflict criminal defenders. We complete these in custody for misdemeanors who are out of custody. We do allow for walk-in assessments down at the Jail Diversion Treatment and Resource Center.
And Ms. Cable, if I might interrupt you, the clicker is right to your right.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Prop 36, so as our district attorney stated, we're getting very few of those yet for any felonies, and that explanation provided that information of why. And so we are expecting an increase in our misdemeanor referrals. We're having reports from our public defender that there are 32 potential Prop 36 eligible clients between 1218 and 218 that we should be expecting to get referrals for under our diversion program. That's really all I have for you. I'm happy to answer questions about our system of care, both for our mental health and substance use programs. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our panelists. We will have public comment, but we want to now allow members of the council to ask any questions, provide any feedback. I was going to do the council first, because we have to lose a few speakers. Councilmember Kaplan.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone here today. I mean, Sacramento County overwhelmingly approved Prop 36, so that was the easy part. I think as we're hearing, the implementation is the hard part, and I think mostly would just want to hear from our chief and potentially our DA, because there's the challenges of this was written. Now implementing, where we know that you've said the challenges are we have budget constraints. How does this all fit in, or are you still working on the process of how do we allocate staffing? Where does priority come from? How do we make sure that what you're doing is in alignment so that the DA actually has cases that they can prosecute? Because what I'm hearing from my community members and my small businesses, great, we've been reporting for crimes. Great, nothing's happened. What's going to change now? Because I know the city has a budget deficit. So yes, this is the law, but how does this really make a difference?
Yeah, and the budget is going to be a challenge for everybody. I don't think we try and hide that, but we're status quo right now, right? So we haven't changed from last year. I think the difference is, there's a couple of differences. Number one, your patrol officer gets the call to one of our retail establishments where a petty theft has been committed, right? Prior to Prop 36, at most that would have been a citation, likely, unless it hits a certain threshold. Now that patrol officer will be actually looking in that person's history. One of the complaints that we hear, and you heard it from Rayleigh's, as a matter of fact, when we did our presentation, our press conference, said, hey, we've got the same people that come in week after week after week, and there's really nothing that happens to them. So we can continue to write tickets, but that's not solving the problem. And to the bigger question, what's driving the crime in the first place? Is it strictly for monetary gain, or is it because someone has an addiction issue, right? So trying to get into what the actual root cause there is helpful too. But it's going to give the patrol officers that are out there additional tools that they did not have before, especially when you can change something from a misdemeanor to a felony. What happens when it goes to the district attorney's office, I think we're on the same page, is that if people need treatment, they should get treatment, right? If you're stealing because you're trying to feed your family, that's a different situation than someone who is stealing thousands and thousands of dollars worth of merchandise to resell it for some type of gain. There's also been a challenge for us for a number of years where we will come across someone who has what is clearly stolen items, right? But unless we could find a victim that said, yes, that is stolen from our store, that's the person that did it, I'm willing to file charges, that was not a tool for us before. And now, under Prop 36, that's a change as well. So, I think that certainly Prop 47 was well-intended in that the voters wanted to get treatment for people that had addiction issues. Unfortunately, I don't think it has played out the way we had all hoped it would. So while Proposition 36 does provide accountability tools, it also provides, hopefully some treatment for people so that we can stop some of the cycles that we're seeing. On the other side of things, this is why we've actually used, we have limited resources, but we know how important this is, how important it is to our community. For community members like Joel that are completely, victimized and re-victimized again, no police department wants to, not be able to support a community member and a business in our community. So it gives us the tools with our investigative unit to where if we put staff we can actually have something actionable, right? We've got a detective that this is his job, right? And you see how many reductions we've had in the last couple of years. Certainly, we have a lot of priorities, and it's tough to know sometimes where you need to put your people. But this is so important that I think by putting the right person on this initiative, working with our district attorney, having the support that we have on the prosecution side, we can see some real differences. And quite frankly, this has been only in place for a couple of months, and
But
so
you haven't solved it yet?
don't have it solved. won't know, but I can tell you that, we are, as you know, I'm a big data person, and we will continue to track it and work with our district attorney. I know who's also going to be very good at reporting out on what works and what doesn't. And like anything, when we make changes, sometimes you do have to sort of tweak the process to see what works. We've done that with other strategies moving forward, but we do have lessons learned from prior strategies. So we've seen significant reductions in violent crime, and that was focusing on prolific offenders, a very small population that were committing, crimes and serious crimes at that, and focusing on that small group of individuals. So not painting this with a wide brush, but I think education, the community outreach piece, doing everything we can. I mean, I am always honest and will tell you where we have challenges, and staffing is certainly going to be a challenge. If I had an extra 150 officers, there would be a lot more that we could do, but that's probably not reasonable.
Yeah,
So.
and I just want to call out, because I think it's important for people to hear, that I think you stated some best practices that I'm hoping, as you figure out some processes, I'm willing to bring them and help educate my community, because I think we need to really go back and educate our small businesses on the new aspects of the law, as well as what surveillance, if they have surveillance, what surveillance has the kind of scope and have video that is clear, that allows you guys to arrest and the DA to prosecute. I think knowing what is a good video and a bad video to that extent is something our small business, big retailers have technical people, but I'm looking at how do we help our really small businesses who are most impacted on this. So, and I think the engagement between SAC PD and our DA is essential. So almost when you figure out that process and that sheet, I think that that's what we need to be sharing with our small businesses, so they know how to be on top of what the new law is and how they can best work together with all of us.
I would appreciate any assistance we can get in that area to educate people, and also to encourage people to report, because I think a lot of people are weary and thinking, if nothing's going to happen, why do I report it? And we can't do anything if we don't know that the crime was actually committed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Maple.
Oh, I asked
Oh,
both of
sorry.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, in terms of my office, we're really downstream. We can only prosecute cases that we receive, and if the evidence is there, we will prosecute those cases. And I do want to applaud the Sacramento Police Department and Chief Lester for the great work that they do with the resources that they have. But I'm going to implore the people in the audience and the business owners and the victims to report the crime. And I'll give one very simple statistic from a neighborhood that I just received. This is a neighborhood within the city. And for the month of December, the police department had only 35 reported crimes. However, there were other data that we were able to collate after the fact that there were 5 to 8 calls a day for various quality of life crimes. And so the fact of the matter is crime is underreported, whether it's theft, whether it's drug dealing, whether it's simple assault. We are asking the public to report the crime, and what I promise you is that the police department will investigate the case, and my office will file those charges when the evidence is there, and we will handle it in a way that is compassionate but appropriate with accountability. So that's what I'm imploring the public and the community to do. And I would also implore that the police department need the resources to be able to go out there and enforce the law so that I can go ahead and prosecute it in a way that is accountable but fair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Maple.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And on that note, a conversation that I often have with constituents in District 5 is Nextdoor and Instagram are not appropriate channels to report. So just because you put it on there doesn't mean that it's been reported to the police department. So just a reminder. So thank you so much for the presentation, the information. This is a really timely discussion after November and seeing the implementation. Really appreciate this. I think I have one question I think might be for Ms. Cable. I'm really interested in the diversion program, and I'll allow you to walk up. My question is around what is, it may still be in development, but what does it look like practically? So, someone is arrested for a crime, they're determined through a process of some sort. If you could describe that, that'd be great, that they qualify for diversion, and then they are sent through another process. So I'd just love to hear about that.
Yeah, I can't speak too much for what the public defender's process is. They get a client, there's some issue that may have been determined that they have a mental health condition that would qualify them for a mental health diversion program. When they've done that, they then send it over to behavioral health to do an assessment. And at that point, we're really assessing to find out what are their current needs, what are their ongoing needs going to be. We're screening for substance use, treatment and recommendations. And really what we're sending back to the public defender is a recommendation for mental health treatment, whether it is with their managed care plan under kind of a general lower level of mental health need, or one of ours and within our mental health plan system, which includes kind of our core or outpatient type programs. It's they consider it a moderate to severe mental illness range, or even up to our full service partnerships with this really for more severe mental illness. And so we're referring into those on the mental health side. And then on the substance use side, we're looking at, do they need medication assisted treatment? Or are they already receiving that at the jail and need to continue that? Are we looking at needing an outpatient program, an intensive outpatient program, or residential treatment? So really that full array, and looking and screening for those to make the best determination for them.
Okay, that's really helpful. And then, so for behavioral health and for substance use, as it relates to homelessness, is there a portion of that program where, obviously when people have these issues, they usually have more than one, right? You might be someone who's struggling with a mental health issue and you're self-medicating with drugs, let's say, and that's two different potential solutions. If you have people that come in that clearly are unhoused, is that part of that diversion program as well?
It can be. It depends on the program that they're assigned to. A lot of our programs within the mental health side have access to flexible funding or permanent supportive housing that they can help and get some of our folks into as part of their treatment program. While we do try to get that housing first, it's really their mental health treatment programs, and so that's the goal. But we are looking at always trying to find housing for those that are within our system.
Great. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And those are my questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor. Really appreciate you bringing this item as an educational workshop for the public and for Mayor and Council. First, I want to take this moment just to thank Captain, Lieutenant, and our District Attorney for being here today to really provide a high-level overview, just given that the voters passed 36, and we're in 2 months of implementation. So really appreciate this high overview. And I actually have some direction. We'll have some follow-up as well as we're monitoring the progress of Prop 36, whether challenges, outcomes, but just have some comments and also just some questions as well. I also just really quickly wanted to say thank you to the business that came today to really just also share your lived experience of what you have experienced on the ground, and that, I hear often from our local businesses in my district as well. And so really appreciate the holistic presentation from the DA, PD, from our business, and then also from ARC Joseph as well. And thank you for just providing insight on the other end of what our communities are also feeling. And I think that it needs to be a balanced approach. So just really overall appreciate all of the presentation. I think I speak for all of my colleagues and our mayor and council when we all believe that our residents and our businesses deserves to feel safe, deserves to live in healthy neighborhoods and communities, right? I think one thing about Prop 36 that in conversation that I've had with advocates is that the success of Prop 36 might heavily depend on the availability of well-funded mental health and substance abuse services. And so I actually had a question, not for the DA, but really on the county end, once the prosecution happens. I wanted to actually ask Nicole if the county...
Maybe you can come back and sit in the front row, Nicole.
Just giving her
If I think my first question is, and Councilwoman Maple kind of touched upon it a little bit on the behavioral health, but is our county prepared to assist with the mandated treatment? I know you had mentioned in your presentation, I think 32 potential, and just curious to kind of have a better understanding in terms of rolling it out and preparing for implementation.
Yeah, I know our substance use prevention and treatment program, they are always looking for additional providers. We're constantly looking at ways to contract with more providers, in particular for those residential beds, which are such a high need and very, very difficult to find. I think our outpatient system is well equipped to handle an additional group of people, and we are tracking these very carefully just to make sure that we are able to accommodate all of those new Prop 36 referrals that come through. And I think on our outpatient, both mental health and substance use, we're pretty well situated. I'm sure you're well aware that residential has always been a bit of a struggle just to get enough providers that are doing that hard work. But we have recently initiated some new contracts, and so we're hoping to have some more beds coming online really soon.
Okay, great. That's really great to hear, because what I'm hearing is that usually it's on the mandated side on treatment that we don't have the capacity usually on the county, and I think it's great to hear that on the Sac County end, there's that. I know other counties are struggling, and so it's really great to hear that we're preparing for that, so. The other question I have, perhaps this is actually for Chief Lester in particular. I think there is, a real concern from community regarding just incarceration, I think, overall. And I've had this conversation with you, and I do think that as we're, implementing this proposition, also ensuring that we're continuing to collect data, because I think one of the big concern that I hear often is that, we don't want to see the racial disparities of arrest and treatment. We really want to know, like, what's really happening. And so I guess my question is, I'm assuming, are we collecting that data as we're rolling this out as well?
Are you talking in relation to theft-related offenses, narcotic? Yeah, actually we are. And what I hope we can also do, obviously bring a better reporting system, but we've talked to the team about doing that, and some of the just logistical changes that we've made to our reporting system internally and our records management system, but we should be able to pull that data. What we will have to work with the district attorney on are the outcomes, right? Because what happens once we have a case and we send it to the district attorney, who gets referred, what happens in that case. And so we'll work with our partners on that to see what we can produce.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. And then our district attorney, if you could just come up real quick. I know that under Prop 36, if a person is unable to complete their mandated treatment, they will not only have a felony conviction, I think you mentioned this before, but they can also face up to additional incarceration of 3 years in jail or prison. Really appreciate your point of how your office is using discretion and the 10-year wash-up. I love to if you can just go in depth a little bit more about just your processes around that, because I do think, and if you can speak to that, because I think that's a big concern. I think you've heard from the community, I've heard from the community as well, and I really appreciate your intentionality in terms of using discretion, because I do think every case varies, and so would love to hear a little bit more about how your office is using that discretion. What does that really look like?
Before I answer that, Councilmember Bing, I'd like to come back to the county issue in terms of treatment, because I do have some more information in regards to that. So in the rollout of Proposition 36 and the implementation, I spoke to Dr. Lutz from the county in terms of the capacity for the county. And so what we've done in the county is revamped our screening process to make sure that an individual, let's say they get arrested for drugs, then they're brought to court. They face their arraignment where they're told what their charges are. They get the public defender appointed to them. And then at that point, they go through the criminal process. You have a prosecutor, a defense attorney. We offer from the get-go treatment. And what will then happen is that individual can accept or decline it. If they choose to accept it, the public defender can then refer them over to be evaluated by behavioral health. They'll go through a more robust screening program that I have asked the county to do. Once they get that robust screening process, if they qualify for it, if they accept the treatment and they do not pose a public safety risk, then what will happen is they'll get that treatment. Now, they can get the treatment in custody or out of custody. The more challenging aspect is if they happen to be in custody. The out-of-custody individuals, there are robust different programs that allow them to get the treatment they need. And if they fail out of it, they're given an opportunity to take it again, as long as they are willing to do so. But oftentimes, until they are incarcerated, until they are in custody, it is then that they reach to the point where they want the treatment, need the treatment, or are willing to go through with the treatment, and we will provide them with it. So I think Sacramento County is in a good position to provide the treatment that is needed. Now, in regards to your question, in regards to somebody going to prison, in order for somebody to go to prison, first of all, they would have to have the 2 prior convictions. They would have to have a misdemeanor conviction, and then they would have to then get a felony conviction and refuse treatment again and again. Hopefully, along this route, they're going to accept the treatment at some point, and that is the purpose behind Proposition 36. And I know that there are concerns based upon the drug wars in the 1980s that this unfairly goes after black and brown communities. But I also think that what we need to look at is that our black and brown communities are disproportionately affected by crime. And just looking at the statistic alone of who's being prosecuted and who's not being prosecuted does not fully capture and may skew the perspective of who law enforcement is focusing on. Law enforcement in my office, in fact, we don't look at the race of the individual. We have implemented in Sacramento County race-blind charging, whereby on a general felony and misdemeanor case, we have a computer system that redacts the individual's information, and then we go ahead and make the initial charging decision. And then we go back and review the entire case. So we, at great expense to the office and great time, have actually implemented that particular program. Now, it doesn't apply to gang cases or to child molestation or to rapes or homicide, but those sort of cases. So if there is any perception that law enforcement are purposely going after groups of certain races, and I'm a member of one of those races, I'm going to push back on that. And statistics don't tell the full picture of that. But we will be moderate. We will be compassionate in our approach on Proposition 36 and continue to do so. And I will reach out to Joe here to see how we can collaborate as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Mayor. Those are all my questions for now. I think the other piece, I think just one direction real quick, I see Councilmember Jennings in the queue. Really appreciate that we're having this conversation 2 months into implementation, but very similar to the comment that Joe made, I do think we're still really early in the implementation to really understand unintended consequences or good outcomes as well, right? I think this is really about a balanced approach, but would love for us to, circle back in 6 months or a year to look at the data to see how we're doing as a city.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, just want to join my colleagues in thanking you for the time that you've spent to update us on this 2 months into implementation. And I think my questions are, I won't call anybody up, but I'll just try to ask the question, and you can tell me who can answer the question. And one was just related to, as we find out about this 2 months into implementation, and going forward, how often will we be updated as to the progress that we're making and what else needs to be done? What other resources do we need? And so I'm looking for consistency as far as how often are we going to get updated, and I don't know who can answer that question.
I don't know, but look, we pass ballot measures every year. We don't always have an update, but this is a big one. We heard about this loud and clear. It has an impact. So I wanted to, at the get-go, talk about what our police department is doing, and I have some follow-up questions in a second here. But it's certainly something that we can entertain, having a report on a regular basis, an annual basis. I think this is something that is in the public domain, and so we owe it to those questions that Councilmember Vang laid out too, is who's getting swept up, but actually who's getting helped as well.
Right. And so I think, we have to, as a council, we need to try to figure out whether or not we're going to have a commission, committee, an ad hoc, something that meets with those who are on the ground and can give us an update as to whether or not the efforts that we're putting in place are working and what else needs to be done in order to increase the progress. So I'll just kind of put a pause on that. It was said that we need to encourage the public to report the crime. I heard one of the speakers say that. So that's a direction to us, that we can go out and talk to our public about reporting the crime. I'm trying to look for more direction like that from this group, that we as council members, and I guess my question is it's good to know the information, but I'm not a person that can just sit there and know the information and not do anything about it. And so it's really, I need like my mama to tell me direction on what it is I need to do next. Right? And so I'm looking for someone to say, what is it that you want this group to do next to help with this situation that we find ourselves in?
if I can answer that just really briefly. We've worked really extensively with the Metro Chamber of Commerce, who's also been a big advocate of Proposition 36. And the thing that we did a few months ago in collaboration with the district attorney, who I'm sure will speak on it, is to create a one-stop resource so people knew which agency to reach out to should they have concern or be unfortunately victimized. And so that's available on the district attorney's website. We also have, if you want to talk about the retail theft claim.
Absolutely. So I believe each of you have this. It is a sticker with law enforcement, and there's one's available for the public, but there's a QR code on here. And what the QR code does, and you can provide it to your constituents, is they can simply go onto that. And there is a link on there that if you want to report a crime after the fact and get connected and file an online report with SPD, with Rancho, with Elk Grove in our community, you can do so. It will get routed there. So eventually we can go ahead and investigate the case and prosecute it. There are resources here about the law on Prop 36, about fentanyl on there. So this is something, and I'll tell you that we've, in about less than a month, we have received requests for over 3,000 of this. If you want some delivered to your office, we will deliver them to your office to give out to your constituents as well. But it's through this partnership, and the Sacramento Chamber, they were key in partnering and coming up with this idea. And if you want to collaborate, you know, Councilmember Jennings, I know you're a big supporter of public safety. I'd love to sit down and talk with you about it.
Great, great, great. And so then this is the last question. The two of you might be the perfect people to answer this question. It was said that the resources are too thin and we need to strengthen our partnerships. And so that means we need to go out to our community-based organizations, our resources that are outside of this room, and try to bring them in, because you're already down in officers. You know, how do we strengthen our partnership, and what role do we play in helping you to strengthen our partnership so there's more boots on the street to be able to address this issue?
Thank you for asking that question. It's a great question. We've really tried to leverage technology, first of all. So you've seen us bring FUSIS forward. We have a real-time information center. We're going to be bringing forward better technology so that it's easier for people to report and that we have something actionable. One of the interesting pieces that we got from our Spider Tech customer service feedback is that people do want to report, but they don't necessarily want to wait for an officer for hours and hours and hours. And I want to thank the mayor and council for supporting our non-sworn programs, like our pipeline program with community service officers, because that's a perfect, avenue to create more staffing at a lower cost to be responsive to our community. So I know 30 years ago when I was a community service officer, that was one thing I did very regularly. And so we do have that program currently. So I think using technology, obviously this is not the year for our city especially to be asking for more, but to maintain the status quo at the very least and maintain those programs, I think are going to be crucial to helping serve the community here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, DA and Chief, on this issue. First, I wanted to personally thank Pucci's Pharmacy for their engagement in the community, and always, particularly during the pandemic, being at all of our neighborhood events free of charge and making sure that they were available for any needs for the community. And but maybe this is a question for both the DA and the Chief, or if not, just at least something to put on for when we reconvene. And I appreciate the effort of reporting and making sure that we're executing Prop 36 immediately and making it effectively, so that we're looking at, as you mentioned it, a fair and thoughtful approach at it. My concern, though, I wonder, and maybe not so much on the drug treatment side, but on those that are non-drug offenses. Just from personal experience, I know when my father was in the correctional system, and he was going to be released from both either whether it was state or county custody. In retrospect, I recognize he was set to fail. Like there wasn't very much in the case of engagement, and so maybe this is a conversation with our probation officers, or maybe if the DA, if you can talk a little bit about what is that the steps to avoid that repetition of failure, and because the cost would be borne by the city, and by its residents if there is a person who fails. And I do see that there's a lot that's gone into on the drug offense side, but on the non-drug related sides where there isn't that diversion, how on the Prop 36 are we going to make sure that we have that positive next step forward, that reentry?
So, Councilmember Garrett, thank you for the question. And I have been an advocate from the beginning of prevention and intervention, of working upstream rather than just downstream. I think traditionally, a lot of DA's offices, we deal with after the crime has been committed. And look, I will prosecute the crime after it has been committed and do it to the fullest and fairest extent of the law. But I also think that we can do better and should do better when it comes to reentry programs. And I know that the county has robust reentry programs at the jail, but I would always advocate for additional resources, whether it's partnering with our building trades in terms of an apprenticeship program, from the, handcuffs to hard hats kind of approach. In regards to it, and really in our juvenile system. And so where we come into play, I've worked with Mervyn Brookins from Brother to Brother to establish a program, especially in regards to gun violence and having the individuals that are convicted of possessing guns, that before they are released from jail, while they're on probation, to go through a program to educate them about gun violence and about gun laws, to make sure that they understand the consequences of their action. But it also then comes back to, in terms of getting people the treatment that they need. If you're committing a child molestation, a rape, a murder, a gang drive-by shooting, I'm going to send you away to prison, and you're going to go away, if not for life, for a very long time. But for the vast majority of people that are in our justice system, we have to find a way to create the robust reentry program. And there are some ideas that we're working on right now, and I know that the county is working on that. And in regards to our unhoused population, trying to create, and I know that you're doing it in your district and in other areas as well, programs that really triage and separate out those that want treatment and need treatment and services and are willing to take them, so that we can avoid putting them in the justice system unless they refuse the treatment and the services. And I think we need to keep pushing. It's not something that we can turn on a light switch and boom, it's going to be better. We got here to where we did over a 10-year period. And like an aircraft carrier, you just don't turn that thing around overnight. This isn't going to be a light switch. And Prop 36 is not a panacea, but it's a step in the right direction, and we need to work towards that.
Thank you, Councilmember Talamantes.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess my question might be for our district attorney, might have the best answer here. I think I know the answer, but is there any state funds attached to Prop 36, and do you expect there to be any with the lobbying efforts of the district attorney's office?
There is no direct funding to Proposition 36, and I do not expect any funding. I'm being a realist in this budget cycle. I think the fiscal outlook for the state, for the city, are bleak. The fact of the matter is we do have in place 14 different collaborative courts that my office has set up. We do have in place to the county behavioral health system some inpatient, but a lot of outpatient treatment programs. So we have here in Sacramento the ability to engage in treatment, which is what I want here with Prop 36, but also have the leverage of accountability as well. Where I think this goes in the future, I think we need to take a look at some Prop 1 money. I think we need to take a look at some realignment money in order to really put them in the right spot and the right use to serve Proposition 36. So I think that there is money, and where there is a will, there is a way. And so we have to keep pushing. But I think in Sacramento, we are in a better position than in some other localities.
Thank you so much. And I just want to appreciate Nicole from the county letting us know that the county has capacity to be able to fully implement this and carry on next steps. My next question is probably for the chief. I know we're severely short-staffed with our police department. Everyone's working a lot of overtime because we have so many vacancies, and obviously we have a budget deficit. So what would it cost the city for us to be able to fully and effectively implement and do next steps so that our businesses are getting quick response and that we're taking the reports necessary to be able to prosecute?
Well, I think we'd have to define the scope of the problem and the challenge, and then figure what our response should be, and then quantify that with the cost. And so that's a big question. When I'm sorry, I can't answer on the spot. You know, I can promise you, and I always have, we'll do everything I can be really efficient with our resources so that we're not wasting money, we're not wasting people's time, and we're using, you know, whatever we can, whether it's technology or best practice, to make sure that we're delivering services in the best manner possible. So we can certainly take a look at that. I think the question would be, you know, what type of service is the community expecting, and what is the best way to serve them? So, for example, you know, our pharmacy owner who has 25 burglaries, how long did he have to wait? Was that a reasonable amount of time? Did his, his manager, his staff, you know, were they held? Was there a better way to do that report and figure out how best to serve the community? We're certainly looking at solutions, but can come back with a strategy for you.
Okay, thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much, Mayor McCarty, for hosting this workshop with our district attorney, our chief, incorporate legal for next steps. You know, this proposition passed overwhelmingly in Sacramento, and us here at City Hall, we're the front lines to every single issue that happens in Sacramento with our small business owners. The first person they call is us. And so we want to make sure that we have the good partnerships with you to be able to make sure, like, we don't overpromise and underdeliver. We got to make sure we're realistic and that we're honest with where we're at this point in time. And that's the most important thing to me. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Those are outstanding questions. I do have a few more. I know we've been about an hour and we have public comment, but this is an important topic. And so I want to make sure that we have thorough engagement out of the gate, and we'll come back in a year. So maybe I'll start by bringing back up our DA, Tien Ho. So District Attorney, you know, you and I spent the better part of 2 years lawmaking, writing public safety laws, debating this and crafting these measures, as we noted, working together back and forth. So now we're in the implementation stages, and so I just want to acknowledge your engagement on these issues. And always trying, you know, not to be one side or the other side, but trying to find a balance. And I'll just, out of the gate, these two issues that Councilmember Vang brought up about discretion and washout. During the past year, we were potentially trying to forge a compromise on this measure to not go to the voters. And these are the two key issues that we brought up. So it is, I think, heartening to hear that some of the fears of the opponents is that it would be too harsh. There wouldn't be a washout period. You wouldn't have discretion for a loaf of bread versus 20 filet mignons. You wouldn't take into consideration the totality of the cases and focusing on strict felonies out of the gate. And so I do appreciate that, and I think you've laid it out to the community, and they're watching. I think they will appreciate you following up with your word on that, which I know that you will. Because, as you said, it's about treatment, not incarceration. That being said, a couple of kind of nuts and bolts questions maybe you can help us understand. So the issue as far as capacity for individuals, would they have priors? They had a misdemeanor, they have another one, now it's a felony, and so there's some accountability. Let's say on the retail theft side, not the drug side. Some counties have capacity in county jail and some don't. So how do you see, you have less than 150 cases so far. So how do you envision, if you have to focus on that accountability lever for when would it be county jail versus state prison, how does that relate to our overall capacity at our county jail?
Well, I think when we look at a case, first of all, we look at the individual's criminal history. We look at what it is that they're stealing. And then we make a decision based on the facts and the law. Are they stealing for personal sustenance, or are they stealing essentially because they are engaging in repeat theft offenses? In regards to capacity in the jail, we do have the capacity. We have the capacity to be able to house people in the jail. Now, we are also here in the county under what they call the Mays Consent Decree, and there was an article recently in the newspapers about that and about jail capacity, which really has not been increased in light of increases in population. What I can tell you is in my conversations with the sheriff, in my conversations with Eric Jones, who is the liaison between the different law enforcement partners and the county, that we do have the capacity when it comes to theft offenses. But I also think that what we're seeing here, and I think that that Mark Friedman talked about it in terms of Art and Fair Mall, there is a deterrence factor that is in play right here. Because people now know that if they continue to engage in stealing, they will be held accountable, and that's had a deterrence factor. But we do have the capacity, Mr. Mayor, to be able to house people and then to evaluate them for treatment where appropriate, where they do not present a public safety to themselves or to other people.
Thank you. And as our county representative, Ms. Cable alluded to, as we've heard here and in other communities, there's not always space to put people if they need treatment, inpatient treatment, but there's plenty of room in the outpatient. We've seen that by what's happened with our drug court programs. So do you envision people that you catch here in downtown Sacramento? Certainly we talked about this morning at our state of downtown. Not all homeless have addiction issues. Not all addicts have homelessness issues, but sometimes you see a correlation with public drug use, sometimes right here in front of our city hall. So if a patrol officer on multiple occasions has a call, makes an arrest, when the case comes to you, and granted every case is different, but it's just hypothetical, do you see a problem having that individual go to outpatient programs if we don't have capacity in the inpatient, knowing that outpatient may not have worked in the underlying 5 years leading up to that point?
Well, I'll give you a couple of examples. And how we have sort of revamped the screening process is there are two different sort of screening process. There's a very thorough one, and there's one that I would describe as less robust. When Proposition 36 came into effect, my office approached behavioral health from the county, and we asked them to add on additional screening tests to the less robust one to make it more in line with the other one so that we can evaluate whether or not somebody is a public safety risk. Now, for years, my office has had what we call the CORE program. A CORE program, if an individual, whether they're housed or unhoused, picks up 10 offenses within a 12-month period, what we will be able to do is take that individual, stack those cases, and hold them in custody, stabilize them, whether it's with medication, whether it's with treatment, what have you. And then if they want treatment, we will send them to an outpatient treatment program. So with the advantage of Proposition 36, we may not have to wait to get to the 10 because we now have the tools to be able to hold them in custody if they pose a public risk, stabilize that individual, and get them the treatment they need. And a lot of times that treatment, after they've been stabilized, is out in the community, but they're being supervised by probation. And the gift in exchange for that is they get their cases dismissed. That is the encouragement that we give them. But if not, then they come back and they see us and they'll have to deal with their cases. And we have success stories with that. So I'm not opposed to outpatient treatment after they've been screened properly, after they've been stabilized, and if we have the supervision in place to make sure that they are not a threat to public safety.
Okay, thank you. Chief, just two questions of you. You mentioned earlier that the laws changed. A lot of your officers are young, 10 years or less. They're here in the Prop 47 world where lower level retail thefts are misdemeanors. And so, frankly, many times the retail establishment doesn't even bother calling, as we know, or if the officers go there, it's a misdemeanor. They don't feel like they want to book the individual, they'd be released. How do your officers aren't making the arrest based upon priors, they're just basing on the call. So can you explain what does that mean when an officer goes out there? They're not necessarily looking up past priors or decide if they're going to make an arrest or not. They're focusing on the call.
Actually, we have great technology, and we're very lucky to have it, but officers can check someone's criminal history from.
Is that what you're advising us to do?
Yeah, and we actually came out really strong with this because we wanted to make sure, we've heard the community. You know, we've been living, for the last 10 years, trying to hold people accountable and haven't been able to. And so this is a really important tool for law enforcement to try and stop victimization and also get people the help they need. So when this came out, we came out very strongly as a department, really pushed the training and really talked about, what our strategy should be. And when it's appropriate, we should charge under Prop 36 guidelines. And that's why we've worked so hard to educate our officers and to make sure they understood what was there. Because what we don't want to have happen is the business owner that calls in and says, hey, this is the same person that's come in here every single week, and I've called and nothing is getting done. And then, what, we don't do anything about it? Like, we've got to be able to be responsive to our community as well. And so the officers have been given very clear direction to make sure that, again, when it's appropriate, they are charging under Prop 36 guidelines.
Yeah, so maybe let me just help understand this just in plain English. So let's say Safeway has two individuals who steal $40 bottles of vodka.
Sure.
Right? And officer goes out there and somehow loss prevention gets them under control. Officer can interview both of them. Are you saying that if one of the individuals doesn't have priors, they won't? It's the same offense they're doing that day. So if one individual doesn't have the priors, they would give them a citation or nothing at all. And the other ones, if they have priors, they would book them.
It's possible. Let's say it's the first time, your first person's ever stolen anything, right? Then that would typically be a misdemeanor citation. If your other person is a prolific thief and has come into Safeway, multiple times, and this is actually a good time to talk about our partnership with our retail establishments, then yes, they may qualify for enhanced charges. Maybe they've risen to the level of a felony. Certainly we look at aggregate losses, and that's where we really work not only with our agency, but with our retail partners. Like, for example, we've used the Raley's and Target as examples. They do track theft within their stores and have robust loss prevention departments and officers that have a lot of information that we rely on. But certainly, it is incumbent on us to do our due diligence for anyone that we come into contact with and find the appropriate charge.
I think one of the other council members mentioned this earlier. One of the things that we hear the most from retailers, and especially the small retailers. I was, as a public safety chair, all theft is theft, but I was always partial to the little stores.
Sure, really impacts
store
them.
here on Rio Linda Boulevard, I talk about all the time. It's called Comfort Market. And that same day I went to Target, and they showed me about their massive retail theft, their operation and cameras, and they're a publicly traded company. And so their losses are bad, but it's like borne across the whole company, across the globe. Whereas this guy here in Comfort Market in your district, I asked him, how often do you experience retail theft? And he says, every day. And I said, well, what do you do? And he looked over and had his baseball bat behind his counter. And he said, it depends. Like, that's a terrible strategy for everybody involved. And so, and he said, I work here 7 days a week. Like, that's his livelihood. So retail theft impacts everybody, but this fella, it's like this is his bread and butter, paying his bills, his family, blah, blah, blah. And we've heard from him and others that they don't make the calls anymore because it's just like the officers are busy, they're not going to come under 47, it's just not going to have any impact anyway. So what are we telling? It's only 2 months in.
Right.
Are we going to more calls like this? Are people actually calling more? What's happened on the ground so far?
Well, I think it's too soon to tell really the impact of Prop 36, whether it's the initial calls for service that we're going to, seeing who's reporting, and then what those outcomes are. Certainly that's something we're going to be tracking. But I think forums like this, where we can really get the word out that, we are responsive, you've got a DA that's ready to, file the appropriate charges, and we are here to help, using our business partners, using our electeds, certainly using every platform that we have to talk about it, I think is important. I know the press conference that we did in January, that was was less than a month after Prop 36 really took hold, which was on December 18th, that took wide traction and was widely broadcast, amongst the region. I think what people have to understand, and I think we've all talked about how weary our community is of being victimized like this, and whether you're a target or whether you're a small business owner, everyone has a right to be safe and to be able to, operate their business without being fear of being victimized, being, losing to theft. When you go and you have to get toothpaste because it's locked up, I mean, we've got a problem in our community. I think everybody agrees with that. And certainly we are very empathetic and sympathetic to the small business owner that is showing up 7 days a week to run their business, because that's really what makes our community. But I think that it's important to recognize that that type of rampant crime is not acceptable anywhere. And to Councilmember Maple's point, we do see people getting frustrated and putting stuff on social media, and we need to redirect that to the appropriate law enforcement resources and show that we've got proven outcomes. And I think that when the community sees that people are being held accountable, that we are seeing reduced losses, that we're seeing less people die from fentanyl overdoses, then I think that it's going to make a difference. But like our DA said, this is turning a large ship very slowly.
Yeah. And then lastly, do you have any observations or anecdotes similar to our DAO gave us a story which, I found positive and impressive, that, there is less retail theft at a major mall, one of our largest taxpayers in the city of Sacramento, bringing in sales tax money, mind you. Out of the gate, our first 2 months, any observations or insights you could share, stories like that?
Yeah, I've been doing this job for a long time, 30 plus years, and I can tell, that crisis brings people together, and that's not necessarily what you want, but I can tell you that now what I see with our business community, our law enforcement partners, our prosecutors, I've never seen this tight of a collaboration with a shared goal, and I think that to have the Metro Chamber of Commerce, for example, bring everyone together and have people talk about this and having shared responsibility for community safety is a huge win. And I think it says a lot about our community here in Sacramento. We're a very big community. We're very, have a lot of diversity in our community, but we're small enough that everyone knows each other. And I think that is a huge strength. And I have not seen that in my career. And I think that's a huge win for our city and our community.
Okay, thank you, Chief, for the presentation, and thank you for all 6 of you for coming here today and enlightening us, and we will follow up on this topic. Thank you, Councilmember Jennings, for that suggestion. We have a dozen or so individuals for public comment now. We're interested in what you have to say as well.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 10 speakers. I'm going to call off a few. Christina Rogers, Matt King, John Frias Morales, Brian Powers, Karen Corbs, Ed Perez. Feel free to line up in the middle aisle.
Hi, City Council. I represent thousands of California citizens who collected signatures to get Proposition 36 on the ballot. This effort was as grassroots as you can get, and the people have spoken. I've seen Prop 47 has failed in its promises to our communities for over 10 years. Broadway is the perfect example. Even with recent street upgrades, many businesses have shut down. Just this week, Zanzibar said they're closing their doors, and restaurants nearby are struggling because customers don't feel safe going there. Golden One Bank has closed and moved to a safer location on Sutterville Road, and Walgreens is shut down. Yes, we have 2 new businesses opening up soon, Little Whale Swim School and School of Rock, which is a customer base of parents and children. If drug addicts and dealers continue to frequent that area, how long do you think it'll take before those businesses go? Give local businesses a chance and support the implementation of Prop 36, which I see that you are. Give me a chance to come back to Broadway and feel safe walking there day or night and frequent those businesses. People talk about being treated equally, and Prop 36 is a great equalizer. If you sell or use fentanyl, meth, and heroin, and you're destroying local businesses and tearing up families, there will be consequences. This is a new city council, and you are a new mayor, and I have some hope here that you understand common sense and how crime has killed commerce in Sacramento, which means it's also hurt the city's tax base. Please give our businesses the chance to thrive. Support Prop 36 and help push the illegal drug trade out of our business corridors and communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Matt King.
I'm John Morales. Did you know the county coroner, not the Salvation Army or the X Street Navigation Center, has removed the most individuals from our streets, 1,100 homeless, and 1,200 fentanyl users taken off the streets by the coroner. Housing First has failed, so the homeless need Prop 36. A major driver of homelessness is drug addiction, fueled by the exploitation from gangs like Norteños, Bloods, and Sureños. Last year alone, 45,000 drug needles were recovered citywide. Yet, of the 1,600 homeless placed into housing through the CAS system, only 200 completed addiction treatment. This is directly linked to the city issuing a mere 362 citations last year at service-resistant camps. If HUD survives the Trump cuts, expect sobriety and work requirements. Damien lives at the G Street underpass. He has 8 arrests for brandishing a weapon, violent assault, and drug dealing. This is Damien's drug dealer getting gasoline at the Chevron on E Street. Because Damien did not pay his drug bills, the drug dealer burned down his tent on E Street. Fires like this cost the city $4 million, according to the auditor. Tomorrow afternoon, the city attorney and Superior Court Judge Price will decide if Damien deserves mandated drug treatment. Police citations are the entry point to mandated treatment. By increasing the number of citations, we can provide individuals with the opportunity to break free from addiction and rebuild their lives. Street-level enforcement has to be combined with a dedicated narcotics unit to dismantle the network of narco traffickers and drug dealers who profit from the misery of the addicted and homeless. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Matt King.
Hey, my name is Matt King. Thank you all for being here today. I'm a recovered homeless, meth addict, and alcoholic. And it's because of a program called Diversion. What I do know is a lot of us will know that if you touch a hot stove, you get burned. You stick your finger in the car door, it's going to get smashed. I didn't know that I had a problem, and I don't think addiction has an equitable factor to it. Any one of us today, tomorrow, the next day, could cross the line, and I don't remember when I crossed the line. I didn't care about the public. I didn't steal to feed myself. I would steal to support my habit, and if I had $5 left over, I would get a hot dog from AM PM to feed myself. What I do know, and what I didn't hear from any of the people, is we've got to have treatment programs that work, and they have to include a behavior modification aspect. My behavior is what kept me using. My behavior is what got me homeless. My behavior is something I had to totally learn to acclimate back into society. I did not know how to live without using, and I did not know how to live with normal people like you. And if I would say that I would ask the city council to be mindful of where the money goes, if it doesn't include a behavior modification aspect to the treatment, and also the allowance of the people to go to outside meetings and build a support group. Getting a certificate at the end of 30, 60, or 90 days means nothing.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. I have Brian Powers, Karen Corbs, and Ed Perez.
Thank you. As a citizen of Sacramento, I'm very impressed and encouraged by the presentation that was made today. The sense of cooperation among these people really is impressive to me. And it reinforces what I felt about Prop 36 since I first learned of it. I think basically Prop 36 at its most essential level really is 3 things. One is punishment. Even though serial people who are serially going into stores and committing thefts and burglaries aren't murderers or rapists, they do need to be punished, and so that's one element of Prop 36. I don't think, though, it's the most important element at all, because another element is deterrence, and that's very important. With the increase in the punishments and the charges, it will deter people from committing these crimes. And I don't think that the 70% of Californians who voted yes for this want everybody put in jail. They want the chaos to stop. They want to go to the store and be able to have an open aisle and open areas where they don't have to have people come and unlock things. They don't want to have people going in and out. They don't want to witness crimes. That's what they wanted. The third important element, I think, is compassion. The alternative treatment mandated felony program is compassion. Compassion is not letting people just do what they want to do. Compassion is showing them the way to change how they live their lives and get them off of the drugs and away from addiction. So this sense of cooperation is very, very impressive. And what I would ask of you on the City Council is to support Prop 36, is to support the chief and the police department in Sacramento, support the district attorney and his office to whatever extent you can.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Our next speaker is Karen Corbs, Ed Perez, Madeline Noel.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here this afternoon to express my strong support for full implementation of Proposition 36. It's been said already today, but as you all know, over 900,000 Californians signed to get Prop 36 on the November 2024 ballot, and it passed with an overwhelming 70% approval rate. Every single county in California, including Sacramento, had majority support. The people have spoken, and it is now the responsibility of the city, the county, and the state leadership to act accordingly. The good news is that Sacramento Police Chief Kathy Lester and Sacramento County District Attorney Tin Ho are leading the way in implementing Prop 36 locally. I have full confidence in their leadership and trust that their departments will do what is necessary to ensure its success. Sacramento residents are tired of rampant theft, open drug use, trash-filled streets, and rising crime. It's time to take action. Prop 36 gives the city and the county the resources and tools they need to restore order and safety to our city. We cannot continue to allow serial shoplifters and repeat drug offenders to break the law without consequences. It's time for a return to common sense. If you break the law, you should be held accountable. As our DA Tin Ho has said time and time again, and I am paraphrasing here, if we fail to hold criminals accountable for their actions, they will see Sacramento as a safe haven for crime. That is not the kind of reputation our city should have. I want to take a moment to thank Tin Ho and Chief Lester for their leadership, as well as the men and women of the Sacramento Police Department who work tirelessly to keep us safe. You have the support of the people, and we stand with you in this effort. Thank you for your time.
Give your comments, Ed, and then Madeline.
Good afternoon, excuse me. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. My name is Ed Perez. I'm a resident of North Natomas, and I'm here representing a group of concerned citizens in my community. And we formed a group. If you need more information about it, it's keepingnorthnatomassafe.org. Again, it's keepingnorthnatomassafe.org. First up, Mayor, thank you for having this forum. I think it's a great idea. And I actually, believe it or not, even though I've heard a lot of the same information, there's some really good information that came out. Chief Lester mentioned the capacity, the issue about the booking times, which obviously would be an issue if we're going to try to hold people accountable. Issues about getting a new system for reporting purposes. I think that's part of the reason why you have issues about people not reporting it. If you've ever tried to report anything to SAC PD, you run into this website, and I won't go into details, but you could try doing it. So thank you, Chief, for that new system. And also thank you to the County DA for giving us a rundown on how they handle prosecutions. I have some trepidation, though, because a lot of the same things I heard here, we've heard before. Issues about making sure you report, provide evidence, and partnership. We've done all of that, and I just hope that this time there's a lot more collaboration, particularly with Councilmember Jennison's suggestion. One of the groups that you might want to try reaching out to are homeowner associations. They have money. They have lists of people, and they have dedicated people that want to solve problems locally. So if you're looking for people to partner with, that's the one. KeepingNorthNatomasSafe.org. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Madeline Noel, John Vignoki, Mackworthy, then Keon Bliss.
Good afternoon, Mayor McCarty, members of the council, interim city manager Laney Milstein, Scott Ford, speaking on behalf of Madeline and the Downtown Sacramento Partnership, property-based improvement district here in the heart of Sacramento. Many of you were at the State of Downtown event that we hosted this morning, and for the first time in a long time, we're feeling a lot of hope in the central city. We're going through the renewal process right now of our organization, which we do every 10 years, and I'll tell you it's a very humbling experience, because the first issue on everybody's mind is safety and cleanliness and perceptions of safety in the central city. We have benefited from the great partnership with the city of Sacramento over the past 4 years, the ARPA investments that we've been able to make to elevate our team's response to clean and safe services in the heart of the city. For the first time, Prop 36 represents a tool to intervene on those patterns of destructive behavior that we see for chronic individuals who engage in the behavior that really lead to the destruction, of that sense of security in downtown. So I urge all of you to continue to support Chief Lester, District Attorney Tin Ho, Captain Bryce Heinlein. They are doing tremendous work in the central city and throughout the entire city. As we look at being really efficient with dedicating our resources moving forward, we know that we're not going to have endless budgets for staffing. We've got to focus on the individuals who are responsible for a lot of the behavior that we see down here, the destructive behavior. And so strategic investment in making sure that we are empowering our law enforcement partners to utilize these tools, get the individuals on patterns of behavior that is going to be better for them, better for the community. That is what we are here to advocate for. You've got our support. We're already working out to the businesses to get them to make sure that they're reporting and to make sure that they are part of the process. You've got our partnership in this. We thank you for your leadership. We thank Chief Lester for her leadership.
Thank you for your comments. John Vignoki, then Mackworthy.
Good afternoon. Thanks for hosting this. This is an important topic. I come here actually to tell you I was wrong. I was wrong about 12 years ago when I supported Prop 47 and donated money to the Drug Policy Alliance. At the time, I thought it was cruel to put people in jail for smoking marijuana. You fast forward 10 years, that didn't mean I voted for allowing people to smoke meth naked in front of a school or one of our apartment buildings. But effectively, that's what's happened. It's so funny. I find the irony that the Democrats effectively neutered public safety, and 10 years later, we're wondering why public safety and law enforcement is so ineffective. When I first heard Jeff Reisig talking about Prop 36 in March of 2023, I immediately knew I had to jump into action and correct what I thought I'd done something wrong. And it was disappointing to see the litmus test that was Prop 36. A lot of people still don't support it. I think it's the most common sense policy to come out in California. And I just don't understand the controversy of when we're talking about people who are smoking dangerous substances, that at some point those people do need to be imprisoned. Like, I don't care what color your skin is. If you're breaking the law and you're doing self-destructive behavior in front of our neighborhoods, you're preventing people from thriving, you're preventing people from securing investment, getting jobs. That capital is important in our economy and our community. And this is a core function of government, and I think we're one of the most taxed people in the face of the planet. And so I think there's plenty of money. It's a priority. It's a will. And when we look at how money is spent on shelter and housing for people who are experiencing homelessness, who are addicted to drugs, I don't understand how we justify to people, working class people, electricians, plumbers, retail workers, that if you fail in life and you're addicted to drugs, the government's going to buy you a housing unit for $500,000. We need to dramatically reduce that by an order of magnitude if we really want to scale this problem. And we can solve it. We can solve it for $6 billion a year. And the state of California spends like $9 billion a year giving illegal immigrants health care. I love immigrants, but I'm just saying, come on, priorities.
Thank you for your comments. I have two more speakers, Mackworthy and Keon Bliss.
Good afternoon. I hear the same old shit over and over. People, Prop 36 is going to fill your jails, and you'll be satisfied. That's all it's going to do. DA, go back and think of what you say here. Brother to brother, Willie Lynch told us that in slavery, pin them against each other, and you're controller. But we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the situation of Arden Fair Mall, while owning Arden Fair. I was there for 32 years. 2 young black men was killed. Did Freeman solve that? No. Why were they killed in that mall? Nobody solved it. But we look at the thing of Somebody mentioned organized crime. Organized crime been here. I was introduced to organized crime 1960 in Fairmount Park. That's 113% accident, theft. I couldn't go back to that park so my cousin get up and work. People, I can take the average woman lingerie and ball them in one hand. You got a gang here out of Oakland, adults. Send the kids in and show them what you want and you walk out, the kid moving. You can't solve it, people. Safety is just a word. We cannot use snitches with the DA. And that's what brother to brother doing. Wake up. Now, they're getting a few dollars, but we want those, what are they doing, to be reported. I'm going to be here, and we're going to look at staffing. Police department got to go separate. You got to come in until they control your budget. You all can get on it and do it, just like the county. You got to get on and do it, because, see, this is what we saw filming here against you all. Probation. All they have to do is to know that the woman's on probation instead of putting that film and put it against the police department here. Wake up, people.
Thank you for your comments. Keon Bliss is our final speaker on this item.
I keep hearing a lot about retail theft being a problem and what the DA and the local police department is working to do about it, which is what they're going to lead with when it comes time for the budget this June. But real question, if retail theft is such a huge problem, why is no one at the California DOJ, the Sacramento District Attorney, or the SACPD collecting detailed data necessary to craft evidence-based responses to retail theft? You'd think that we would do that as a city that is data-driven and evidence-based. But the lack of demographic data raises significant concerns about racial biases in law enforcement and prosecution, which 4 separate studies have confirmed in Sacramento that black and brown residents are disproportionately targeted in every measure of SACPD service going back to 2001. And California lawmakers and the corporate retailers who donate to your campaigns would have us believe that shoplifting impedes their ability to turn a profit. But the best research we have shows that organized theft costs retailers around 7 cents per $100 in revenue. And with billions in revenue, organized retail theft is actually a very minor issue for retailers, for most retailers. But let's talk about crime statistics, too, while we're at it. By SACPD's own measures, crime has actually remained relatively stable and continues to decline over the last 20 years, with a very small increase in 2022. In fact, the Police Review Commission actually analyzed reported crimes versus number of arrests, and we actually found no tangible correlation between Sacramento Police Department's programs and service outcomes relevant to public safety, such as crime prevention or crime reduction. In fact, SACPD's own arrest rates were about 13% for all reported crimes in 2023 alone, and that accounted for about 6% of property crimes. And despite $23 million.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete. Mayor, I have no more speakers on this item.
Okay, thank you. This was an informational item tonight. No vote. Thank you all for your participation today. An important topic for Sacramento. Next, we have item number 2, also a discussion item. Can you hold on a second? What do we usually do? What do you usually do? Do you usually do a break? Okay. No? What do you want? You want to go? Okay, keep going. You can take breaks in their own time. All righty. Show goes on, Mr. Moore.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Ryan Moore. I'm your Assistant City Manager over Municipal Services. As you know, our Municipal Services arm of our organization encompasses the Departments of Public Works, Utilities, and Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment, or YPSI. I'm joined here this afternoon by many of our excellent managers from those departments, including our 3 department heads who are going to run through an overview of their operations. Matt Ironman, Public Works, Pravani Vandier in Utilities, and Jackie Beecham in YPSI. So just for a little broad overview, municipal services is comprised of about 3,000 full-time, part-time, and seasonal employees, represented by over 2,000 full-time equivalents. With an operating budget of just under $500 million in the lion's share of the city's $115 million CIP, this arm of our government provides core services throughout the city every day, from water treatment to traffic signals, from youth programming in our community centers to flood protection, from solid waste to park safety. We are literally everywhere in the city of Sacramento every day. So municipal services uses a wide variety of funding to provide operations and capital improvements in the city. We are largely dependent on grants and enterprise funds, with general fund and Measure U being just about a quarter of our overall budget, and that's almost entirely in YPSI. So we are an innovative and solutions-oriented group of professionals, and I think you see that not only in the provision of our day-to-day services, but also in the way that we will address the city's budget deficit that we are facing. So with that overview, I'm going to invite Matt Ironman up to give us an overview of the Public Works Department's operations. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Good afternoon, Mayor McCarty and members of the City Council. I am Matt Ironman, the Director of Public Works. Thank you all for joining us today as we delve into the remarkable work carried out by the 768 dedicated men and women of the City of Sacramento's Department of Public Works. Public Works is committed to equality and accessibility in all aspects of our work, from infrastructure investments to service delivery. We prioritize historically underserved communities, ensuring that all Sacramento residents, regardless of zip code, income, or background, have safe streets, reliable transportation, and access to essential services. Equity is not just a goal, it's embedded in how we plan, build, and maintain the city's infrastructure. Public Works' second largest department in the city consists of 8 divisions, boasts 768 dedicated employees, operates on a $241 million operating budget. We're only 12% funded by the general fund. Additionally, we oversee $50 million in capital improvements, and our fiscal staff oversees 40 different types of funds, adding a layer of complexity to our everyday work. Public Works also secures grant funding to support impactful projects across the city, recently implementing over $100 million in capital improvement projects. Our department, comprising 8 divisions, include recycling and solid waste under the leadership of John Febo, General Manager, fleet services under the leadership of Allison Kersetter, Fleet Manager, maintenance services under the leadership of Jose Sanchez, Streets Manager, parking services under the leadership of Stacy Hovermill, Parking Manager, facility maintenance under the leadership of James Christensen, Facility Manager, transportation and traffic engineering under the leadership of Megan Carter, City's Traffic Engineer, engineering services under the leadership of Ophelia Avalos, Engineering Service Manager, and mobility and sustainability under the leadership of Jennifer Dolan-Wyant. As the second largest department in the city, our divisions manage distinct aspects of public works, spanning a growing 100 square miles and requiring 3 separate corporation yards to service the entire city. The Office of the Director, overseen by Lucinda Wilcox, Assistant Director, and myself, provide leadership and administrative support for these functions. Although our employees make up only 15% of the city's workforce, they play a vital role in maintaining the majority of public assets that residents and visitors rely on daily. The Public Works team is dedicated to keeping the city running smoothly every day, from managing the fast-paced demands of parking services to maintaining a vast urban canopy of 100,000 trees. Their work touches nearly every aspect of daily life. They oversee and service 40,000 streetlights, ensuring well-lit and safe streets, and maintain 3,100 lane miles of road, responding quickly to emergencies and repairs. During storms and flooding events, They manage critical floodgates to protect the city while also monitoring and maintaining 850 signalized intersections to keep traffic flowing efficiently and safely. Their commitment ensures the city's infrastructure remains safe, functional, and resilient. The scale of public works infrastructure across the city is vast, encompassing nearly everything residents and visitors interact with daily. Our team is responsible for maintaining and managing 152 city-owned facilities, ensuring they remain safe, functional, and accessible. We oversee 170 pedestrian islands and roundabouts, enhancing mobility and safety for all road users. Additionally, we manage 46 sound walls that help mitigate noise in residential and commercial areas. Our work also includes maintaining 297 landscape medians, many of which are being converted to drought-tolerant landscaping in response to recent water conservation legislation. Every aspect of our infrastructure plays a critical role in keeping the city operational, sustainable, and resilient for the future. Public Works is responsible for maintaining critical assets that keep the city running efficiently. This includes the daily upkeep of 2,600 fleet vehicles, ranging from emergency response vehicles to public service and maintenance trucks. In addition to fleet management, our team provides service for 2,200 city-owned properties and provide routine maintenance for more than 400 facilities, ensuring they remain safe, functional, and accessible for city operations. We are also advancing sustainable transportation solutions by installing 67 public electric vehicle chargers, supporting the city's transition to cleaner energy. Our fleet operations play a key role in the city's commitment to sustainability by incorporating zero-emissions vehicles and expanding EV charging infrastructure to reduce environmental impact and improve efficiency. Through these efforts, Public Works is not only maintaining essential assets, but also driving innovation towards a more greener and more resilient future. This infographic highlights the substantial workload shouldered by each member of our streetlight maintenance team, with one individual responsible for overseeing 4,000 streetlights. To add to their workload, they also have responsibility for maintaining 850 signalized intersections and 450 miles of traffic signal network infrastructure. To put it into perspective, Sacramento's 3,100 lane miles span a distance roughly equivalent to traveling from Sacramento to New York City. Additionally, we maintain over 400 facilities covering 5.4 million square feet of interior space owned and managed by the city, equivalent to the office space of 2 Empire State Buildings. Unlawful dumping is a persistent challenge across the city, and addressing it falls under the responsibility of our solid waste division. Each year, we respond to approximately 1,600 service calls related to illegal dumping, collecting an astonishing 5.6 million pounds of refuse from streets, alleys, and public spaces. To combat this issue, our team includes 5 dedicated code enforcement officers who work daily to identify problem areas, enforce regulations, and coordinate cleanup efforts. Their work not only helps maintain the cleanliness, safety of our neighborhoods, but also support broader health and environmental goals by preventing waste buildup and contamination. Despite the scale of the issue, our team remains committed to keeping Sacramento streets clean and free of illegal dumping. Despite our dedicated efforts each day, we continue to face significant challenges in maintaining and improving the city's infrastructure. Our roadways are deteriorating at a rapid rate, with Sacramento's pavement condition index currently 55 out of 100, placing it in the fair category. Without adequate funding for road rehabilitation, the condition of our streets will continue to decline, increasing long-term repair costs. At the same time, new growth and development is happening. Yet we lack the necessary resources to keep pace with the expanding needs. Another pressing challenge is our workforce shortage. We currently face a 22% vacancy rate, leaving us just shy of 170 unfilled positions. This staffing gap limits our ability to provide essential services, conduct timely maintenance, and support critical projects. Additionally, much of the city's infrastructure is aging and, in some cases, inadequate to meet today's demands. Our deferred maintenance backlog continues to grow with an estimated $120 million in facility-related needs and a staggering $1.6 billion in deferred transportation infrastructure repairs. These challenges highlight the urgent need for increased investment and strategic planning to ensure Sacramento's infrastructure remains safe, functional, and capable of supporting the city's growth. Our transportation deferred maintenance backlog has reached $1.6 billion, covering critical infrastructure essential for safety and mobility. This includes pavement, bridges, traffic signals, street lights, trees, landscape medians, all of which require significant investment to prevent further degradation. Without adequate funding, these assets will continue to decline, leading to a higher repair cost, safety concerns, and reduced quality of life for Sacramento residents. Investing in maintenance now is essential to ensuring a safe, reliable, and resilient transportation network for the future. As I mentioned, we're only 12% reliant on the general fund. A thriving economy relies on well-managed public services and sustainable revenue generation. Among our 40 fund sources, enterprise funds play a critical role in ensuring financial stability or enhancing service delivery. Through strategic management, we maximize efficiency, optimize cost recovery, and invest in critical infrastructure to support Sacramento's long-term growth. While revenue generation is not the sole driver of our operations, it's essential for maintaining service quality and expanding programs, and ensuring financial resilience in the face of increasing demands. For fiscal year 2026, our budget strategies will focus on balancing fiscal sustainability and improved mobility infrastructure and public service delivery. Rate adjustments and enhanced service delivery by evaluating fee adjustments, both increase and reductions, to ensure financial stability while maintaining affordable and effective services. Parking meter zone expansions and modernization by strategically expanding meters in high-demand areas and upgrading infrastructure to improve turnover, reduce congestion, and enhance customer experience. Residential permit parking cost recovery by aligning permit fees with administrative and enforcement costs to ensure long-term program sustainability while protecting neighborhood parking access. Optimizing employee parking and merchant validations by enhancing cost recovery while keeping programs accessible and beneficial for local businesses and employees. Workforce retention and service enhancement by strengthening efforts to retain skilled employees, reduce vacancies, and maintain high service levels across the city. Automated enforcement for safety and efficiency by implementing AI-driven enforcement on 100 public transit buses to improve traffic safety, enhance compliance, and support enforcement efficiency. By focusing on service-driven revenue strategies, we can ensure that every dollar generated is reinvested into maintaining high-quality public services, modernizing infrastructure, and improving mobility for Sacramento's residents and businesses. Thank you for your support and attention to this great work that our team does. We have Public Works staff here in the audience to answer any questions. I've told you I scratched the surface of what Public Works does in less than probably 15 minutes. And as you know, there's a lot more to it.
Thank you so much, Matt. And absolutely, there's so much more to it. You and your team, the departments, I mean, the work that you do is just incredible. And it's the day-to-day operations of the city that keep our city of Sacramento functioning. So, City Clerk, is there any public comment? And then we'll do comments afterwards. Oh, okay, we'll do all three. Okay, let's do it. We can do questions at the end.
Got it.
Yeah. Jinx. Welcome, Jackie.
Hi. All right, good afternoon. Jackie Beecham, Director of Youth Parks and Community Enrichment. I'd like to first thank our incredible YPSI team for helping to put this presentation together. I'll be sharing more about our department's role in serving the Sacramento community through our parks and recreation, including core services and beyond, along with some performance data and metrics from the last year. It's YPSI's mission to empower our youth, strengthen neighborhoods, and provide life-enriching programs for a beautiful, livable community. We value innovation, collaboration, safety, equity, inclusion, and more. Our department operations support the goals of creating pathways for youth development, quality parkland and recreation facilities, lifelong learning, and community livability and strong neighborhoods. YPSI operates a $67 million budget, of which $46 million is funded by Measure U. This includes 709 FTE that equals 1,593 individual employees, both full-time and part-time staff. Our areas of operation that are all listed here serve essential functions and deliver core services that address many major quality of life issues across the city. Our administrative and fiscal services team provides department-wide support for finance, human resources, and lease management, including our citywide golf operations, along with support for various commissions like our Parks and Community Enrichment Commission, the Ann Land Memorial Commission, and Gifts to Share. The admin team manages over $34 million in grant funding for citywide programs and projects. These grants prioritize infrastructure investments in our parks and facilities, climate and sustainability efforts, and investment in our youth through community-based programs and services. The Park Ranger Division is comprised of 15 budgeted park safety staff, where we currently have 3 vacancies. This team is responsible for the public safety, service, and preservation of all 237 parks, bike trails, aquatics facilities, community centers, and open space. Park rangers operate from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., 365 days per year, with on average 2 to 3 rangers on shift at one time, and they respond to over 4,000 calls for service annually. The park safety team also plays a key role in the city's incident management team and rapid response efforts to address the impacts of homelessness in our parks. They responded to over 3,000 rapid calls last year. In 2024, we converted to Salesforce, allowing us to respond more effectively to these 301 calls for service. The Rangers are also tasked with crime prevention through environmental design, special event support, and citywide park permit distribution. Our park planning and development services team includes 14 full-time employees that are funded through capital improvement projects comprised of Measure U, grant and PIF and Quimby funds. This team delivers millions of dollars in park projects and infrastructure investment that directly supports access to safe spaces in our parks and facilities. Currently, the park development team has over 72 active projects valued at $39 million and has completed $27 million in deferred maintenance projects since 2020. We are also in the preliminary stages of beginning a PIF Nexus study. YPSI's been working diligently to address the deferred maintenance burden in our parks, facilities, and pools. This includes safety and accessibility issues such as park restroom replacements, major irrigation renovations, sports court resurfacing projects, and field and playground replacements. Deferred maintenance projects are funded using a combination of grant funds and a reallocation of Measure U funds remaining at the end of each fiscal year. In fiscal year 24, 70% of deferred maintenance projects completed were supported by our carryover Measure U savings from the prior fiscal year 23. So while funding for deferred maintenance is significantly limited, we continue to focus on projects that prioritize the health and safety and will also improve the quality of life for our youth, families, and older adults. As you'll see here, the total deferred maintenance across YPC facilities, parks, and pools exceeds $130 million, and it continues to be an area of focus for our team. Last fiscal year, we carried over $2.4 million to apply to deferred maintenance projects, prioritizing safety issues and benefits for our under-resourced communities. Our biggest challenge in addressing deferred maintenance, of course, is funding. PIF and Quimby funds are generated by new development, so areas of the city with development limitations rely heavily on Measure U and grant funds to address any park improvements. The Park Maintenance Division is supported by 125 full-time employees and is responsible for the daily care and maintenance of our 237 parks, community gardens, bike trails, parkways, dog parks, the Sacramento Historic Cemetery, and open space that spans over 4,000 acres. Last year, this division supported thousands of organized sporting and permitted park events and volunteer services. This team is also tasked with responding to over 4,000 individual 311 request calls annually for additional services, including safety concerns, environmental sustainability, litter removal, and vandalism. Within our developed parkland, the division focuses its efforts on the core services that you see listed here, including mowing, waste pickup, weed abatement, and more. While above and beyond park beautification and other non-core landscaping enhancements are performed on an as-needed basis or with funding availability. YPC operates 15 community centers citywide where we provide free and low-cost programming and access to safe space for over 20,000 visits by youth and teens. This includes after-school programs and summer camps, preschool programs, and teen events, where we saw a 39% increase in participation in 2024. Centers also provide essential services for older adults, where participation and offerings have increased with 34,000 visits this past year. In addition to direct program delivery, YPC works very closely with our youth-serving nonprofits and community partners who utilize our community centers for programs and services, last year having waived over $220,000 in rental fees through the fee waiver and fee reduction program. Here's a quick snapshot of program visits across community centers from 2023 to 2024, where we saw a 74% increase in older adult visits citywide, and an increase, of course, in our youth and teen programs as well. Last year, over 13,000 meals were distributed to older adults through Meals on Wheels programs, and over 2,400 youth were served in programs where they were also provided lunch or supper. And our reservations office issued nearly 3,000 park permits and 700 athletic field allocations. The aquatic section operates 17 pools citywide, including the Regional Aquatics Complex, with over 100,000 visits to Recreation Swim each season. Rec Swim and other aquatics programs like swim lessons, junior lifeguarding, and swim teams support safety for people of all ages by providing access to a supervised swimming environment and drowning prevention through water safety education. YPC's aquatic program is recognized by the American Red Cross as one of the state's top training providers, certifying 267 lifeguards this past year. In 2024, we awarded over $62,000 in scholarships and reimbursements to youth across Sacramento, including free swim lessons and lifeguard training. Here you'll see our 17 aquatics facilities available to Sacramento residents throughout the region 7 days a week during the summer months and 10 months out of the year at North Natomas Aquatics Complex, supporting the core services of access to safe space and affordable swimming, water safety education, drowning prevention, and of course, youth employment. In fiscal year 24, we established the Youth Development Administration team within YPC to more efficiently align resources and support youth initiatives, opportunities, and relationships with our youth-serving organizations across the city. This team is responsible for the management of grants that support youth development services and opportunities, and that includes the implementation of the Sacramento Children's Fund, or Measure L, where a panel is currently reviewing applications for recommended funding to City Council that will be coming to you hopefully sometime next month. From fiscal 24 year to date, the Youth Development Administration team has supported $14 million in grant programs and initiatives, with over 80% funded by Measure U. These grants support community-based organizations in addressing the priorities of youth safety, violence prevention, and economic development in under-resourced communities. Our civic engagement team supports the Sacramento Youth Commission and Summer at City Hall programs. Summer at City Hall served 68 high school students citywide last year, engaging them in education on local government structure and youth development. And our expanded learning unit provides before and after school programs for over 4,000 youth across the city in 4 different school districts and at 22 elementary school campuses. The fourth R, our fee-based year-round licensed childcare program, serves over 2,500 youth at 17 schools, providing critical support for working families. We also partner with Child Action and school districts to remove barriers for access to quality childcare to over 130 families each year. The START program is supported by ACES grant funds and Measure U, serving over 2,000 youth annually in free after-school and school break programs in the Robla Unified School District. And then, of course, our Summer Oasis summer camp program provides low-cost summer programming to keep youth engaged during out-of-school time. Our Workforce Development Unit provides paid work experiences for youth, creating opportunities to gain skills that lead to successful and employable adults. Over 1,100 young people participate in programs like Young Leaders of Tomorrow, Primetime Teen, the WIOA program, Junior Rec Aid, and Landscape and Learning, providing over $1.1 million in direct investment to the hands of young people through salaries and stipends. Next, we have our Older Adult Services section that operates the Hart Senior Center to provide opportunities for adults, we like to say age 50 and better. Over 3,000 older adults participate in programs each month, including daily meals and social services. This team also supports more than 80 families and caregivers through our Triple R program. It's a low-cost licensed adult day program for older adults with dementia that we offer at 3 locations across the city. And here we have additional community enrichment programs that support a variety of core services for youth and families of all ages and abilities. Over 5,000 youth and adults participate each year in sports leagues, such as the Junior Giants program, NFL flag football, Junior NBA, and programs at the Sacramento softball complex. Access Leisure provides accessible programs and opportunities for over 1,500 youth, teens, and adults with disabilities, including adaptive sports and social programs. Last year, accommodation requests for inclusion in YPSI activities increased 40% from the previous year. And we also operate Camp Sacramento in the El Dorado National Forest that supports mental and physical wellness through outdoor recreation, nature, and environmental education. The Permitting and Events section is responsible for permitting city parks and public right-of-way for special events. More than 600 permits were issued in fiscal year 24, totaling over 1,300 individual events. This section also issues neighborhood block party permits and provides event support services for council office events. This past year, we created a division in the Convention and Cultural Services Department to help streamline entertainment-related permits, where YPSI will continue to focus its efforts on special events hosted in and around our parks. So now we'll move on to an overview of YPSI's budget strategies. We anticipate increased revenues with the implementation of strategic fee increases that will contribute toward reducing our structural deficit while still balancing the needs of our community. We will mitigate the impacts to youth, families, and older adults with the availability of youth program scholarship funds, the Hart Fund Pass, and other fee waiver and reduction programs that we currently have in place. We will also propose a reduction in total FTE following a thorough analysis of underutilized positions and existing vacancies. This reduction proposal will be supported by an increased operational efficiencies across the department and should produce very minimal changes to key service levels that are currently experienced by city residents. We are also prepared to implement alternative means of service delivery to help cover the structural deficit, including collaborative partnerships and contract services that present cost savings while still ensuring there are no gaps in core services and service levels. We've been thoughtfully looking at consolidating our citywide community center customer service operations and recreational swim opportunities to a more regional approach while still being mindful of and ensuring equitable access to our centers and pools for our under-resourced communities. In identifying strategies to address the budget deficit, we do anticipate some impacts to our operations. As we right-size by realigning FTEs and further reducing vacancies, the availability of funding for overtime and park maintenance and park safety will also be reduced, as is our ability to expand any youth programs and services beyond current capacities and service levels. With carryover savings continuing to decrease, the reliance on unspent Measure U funds is not a sustainable funding mechanism to address our growing deferred maintenance burden that again exceeds over $130 million. And while equitable access to parks is a top priority, ongoing maintenance becomes increasingly difficult as we add new parks and park amenities to our park system with a limited operating budget. And one-time funding allocated this current fiscal year has allowed us to expand youth program scholarships and continue the facility fee waiver and reduction program, but we anticipate the demand will outpace the availability of funds over time. Again, as we are developing strategies to be included in this menu of options that you will see soon, we are focusing on core services, minimizing impacts to residents, minimizing impacts to our staff as much as possible while still reaching the 15% reduction plan. And to close, we have a video recap to highlight all of the work of our YPC team from the past year.
Resilience, innovation, accessibility. In 2024, YPC became a movement. 237 parks, 15 centers, and thousands of lives impacted. Because when communities thrive, cities grow stronger. 8,000 plus youth discovered their potential. 800 plus gained workforce skills. $1.15 million invested in future leaders, because opportunity shapes futures. Safety is our foundation. 4,467 calls answered, 3,210 rapid responses, 45 cleanups completed, ensuring every park is a safe space for all. Community centers brought us together, 34,000 plus older adult visits, 13,000 plus Meals on Wheels served, 20,000 plus youth engaged because belonging matters. From lessons to lifeguards, 100,000 plus pool visits, 176 youth employed, $62,000 in scholarships, because water safety should be accessible to all. 23 park projects completed in 2023 to 2024, 19 park projects completed to date in 2024 to 2025, 72 active projects, $27.4 million reduction in deferred maintenance since 2017. Because safe, welcoming parks build stronger neighborhoods. A stronger, more inclusive Sacramento starts here.
All right. Once again, I would like to thank our leadership team. They're joining me here today, along with the over 1,500 other YPC employees that support our parks and recreation programs and services on a daily basis. With that, I think we'll take questions after Pravani goes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. My name is Pravani Vandia, and I'm the Director of Utilities. I'm going to share with you at a very high level what we do in utilities and some of the challenges we face as we do the work within utilities. Today, we're sharing what we do in our department, as well as some high-level statistics to give you a little bit of perspective. Our services are critical to a functioning city. Without them, our lives as we know it would simply not be possible. Utility services are critical to public health and safety for several reasons, including providing safe drinking water, preventing flooding, and preventing sewer overflows. This slide depicts our revenue and CIP budget, the extent of our service area, and most importantly, the number of employees we have in utilities. We have 599 employees that are spread throughout utilities, providing our customers the services that we provide. Everything I go through on the following slides are because of those employees that we have. We're one of the larger departments with several revenue streams as depicted on the slide. We have user fees that are rates that are paid by our customers within the city. We have impact fees from developments who buy into existing capacity in our infrastructure, or they fund infrastructure expansions. We have federal appropriations and grants that are funding used towards infrastructure needs, and this typically helps offset future rate needs. We have loans and bonds that help us fund our large infrastructure projects. We're also funded through Measure U for SURA, which is our Sacramento Utility Rate Assistance Program, and that is the only non-utilities funding that we have in the department. Proposition 218 dictates that rates must be used to provide utility services to all customers. We cannot fund programs that benefit specific communities, or we cannot engage in non-utility programs when staff time is funded by rates. We also cannot cross funds between water, wastewater, and drainage. They have to be maintained separately. It's important to note that the services we provide are highly permitted and regulated by federal, state, and local agencies in order to protect public health. This is a depiction of the major agencies we must comply with. There are fiduciary regulations related to rates, fees, accounting practices that we must follow, public health requirements related to drinking water, wastewater, and drainage that are overseen by federal, state, and county regulators. And there are many other agencies that oversee what we do. Unfortunately, they're too numerous for us to put on the slide or for me to mention, but this gives you a perspective. Over the years, this visual comparison shows how regulations have mushroomed. In the 1990s, we had 3 areas of regulation covering drinking water, stormwater, combined system. 2024, looking at it, we've had introduction of regulations such as PFAS, new lead and copper requirements, trash capture requirements, electric vehicle requirements, to name but a few. Regulations drop on a regular basis during the year, often must be implemented immediately with no time for appropriate planning and consideration of rates to support it. Living in California means that regulations increase continuously, which adds to labor and costs that are challenging to plan for without that advanced warning. DOU coordinates with many agencies. This slide shows some examples. We coordinate with water, wastewater, and drainage agencies both locally, regionally, as well as statewide and nationwide. This helps us with planning, and we're able to team up to do work on common challenges and upcoming regulations to ensure that we are decreasing our costs as we coordinate and pool resources. We're now going to dive into the divisions that make up our department. Hopefully this will help give you a picture of the size and the variety of the work we have to do. The first is the Office of Director, which provides strategic and operational direction and management support to the divisions related to media and communications, legislative and regulatory advocacy, safety, security and emergency preparedness, sustainability, employee and administrative services, as well as with IT support. Yes, DOU has specific dedicated staff within DOU that supports our information systems to ensure that we're always using information technology in the most efficient way. They're also helping us delve into the use of AI for asset management so that we're harnessing the best of technology to be able to hopefully reduce our costs as we engage in those areas. The next division we move to is our drinking water division. They help provide treatment and distribution of drinking water within the city. They help monitor through testing our source waters, such as rivers and groundwater, as well as our finished water to ensure that we're always in compliance. They perform research on process optimization, as well as changing regulations to ensure we're always complying. Here are a few stats just to give you an idea of the size of this operation. We have 2 drinking water treatment plants. We have 17 reservoirs spread through the city, along with 30 groundwater wells. And these all contribute drinking water towards our customers, and that's moved through the city. A little bit of representation on our distribution system. We have 1,600 miles of distribution pipe. For context, the distance from Canada to Mexico via car is 1,300 miles. And we have more than 5,400 pieces of mechanical equipment. And we produce 25 billion gallons of drinking water annually. That is equivalent to 1/8 of Folsom Reservoir. Our next division, which is our largest division in the department, they are responsible for flood prevention and wastewater management, which largely comes down to collection, conveyance of wastewater and/or stormwater, some primary treatment, and maintenance of those systems. Additionally, critical maintenance on our infrastructure and our flood control systems includes our levees, canals, ditches, and creeks in a large year-round operation. Our wastewater facilities spread through the city include 2 combined system treatment plants. We have 5 reservoirs and 50 substations. This slide depicts our stormwater facilities that include 109 substations that help us pump water outside of the bowl that is the city over the levees. We have 71 emergency generators dedicated to utilities infrastructure, and then we have 41 generators that are dedicated to the city's general services infrastructure, including people like PD and IT. So our systems, our wastewater and drainage systems, have more than 840 miles of pipe per system, and that's more than the distance from here to Seattle just for one of those systems. The next division is our engineering and water resources division that provides services to our drinking water and wastewater and drainage divisions. And what they do is they plan, design, and construct millions of dollars of capital improvement projects each year. They provide engineering, policy, and technical support. They ensure compliance with increasing regulatory requirements and mandates related to the wastewater and drainage systems, as well as source water protection for our drinking water. The programs protect local creeks and rivers and include floodplain management and flood awareness. They review development projects that ensure that our utility standards are met through those developments, and they implement city water policy as well as conservation programs. Our last division is our business services division, and they handle our fiscal operations, account management, long-range financial planning, and customer service. They manage the management of our enterprise funds, including budget, accounting, and financial reporting is done within this group. They work on utility rate planning and development with all of the other staff supporting it, and they work on long and short-term financial planning, grant and debt activities. They also oversee our billing as well as management of our SURA program. This slide is probably the most critical slide in our presentation. As you can see, there are many challenges that we face as a utility operating a water-based system. Our deferred maintenance, many parts of our system infrastructure have exceeded its useful life, thus increasing the risk of failure, and that can lead to expensive emergency repairs. You can see that the degree to which we are challenged with deferred maintenance is equivalent to $2.1 billion for all three systems, and this is probably underestimated. The cost of homelessness impacts our infrastructure and is not factored into current rates. This causes impacts to our levees that must be maintained, and that work is often undone. Also, there are security risks that we experience in terms of break-ins and damage to our critical infrastructure. And we're constantly repairing and maintaining, however, that work is often undone. So it's a cycle that just keeps recurring. In terms of public health and safety, we have experienced the impact of climate change with more severe storms and water quality events. I'll point you to the 500-year storm that we had a few years ago. We've had various water quality events that we were able to control within our water systems. However, there are impact of climate change. We've also experienced wildfires in the watershed that influences our water quality, as well as increased temperatures and significant power outages. These are all forecasted to intensify over the years. Our water rights must be protected, considering the challenges of climate change and its impact to reduction in water supplies. To prevent flooding, most agencies use gravity systems to remove rainwater, but in the city, we have to pump that rainwater over levees, which leads to a significant power cost using energy, and can also lead to failures and us having to deal with significant flooding. Maintenance is becoming increasingly costly as we deal with supply chain issues and general cost increases. Staffing is another issue. We have highly specialized staff, such as our SCADA and our plant operators. These positions are extremely difficult to fill. We struggle as we compete with surrounding jurisdictions who pay better than we do. These challenges dictate increasing rates are needed, though naturally this is a balance between affordable rates and maintaining our systems responsibly. We are regularly evaluating our costs and revenues to help ensure that we're fiscally sustainable. According to our planning, we've presented to Council that we would need rate adjustments for our water and wastewater to be implemented in fiscal year 28. Decisions that we make to phase in things like development impact fees or reduce our rate asks to our customers results in impacts and delays to our infrastructure projects until we've collected enough revenue to perform those required infrastructure projects. These create gaps that often cannot be filled in the future. The $2.1 billion deficit we have for deferred maintenance is difficult to fill in one 5-year rate cycle. It's probably going to take us many, many years to fill. Our storm drainage rates have not been increased since the 1990s. We did implement a new storm drainage fee 2 years ago, but that only covers CIP work and new regulatory requirements. It does not cover existing system operation and maintenance. Those rates will need to be adjusted in fiscal year 29. Alternative funding helps, but they are no replacement for rate adjustments. I hope that this presentation has given you a snapshot into our operations. As you can see, we do a lot in utilities. We also rely on support from various departments across the city. These are too numerous to mention here, but you will hear from them in the presentation series what they do. Without the services they provide within the city, we would be challenged to meet our regulatory mandates for critical services. I think one of the most important takeaway from these slides is just how much is done unseen. People rarely think about what it means to be able to turn on a tap, flush a toilet, or the work that goes into preventing seasonal flooding. Our services provide the absolute critical basics that form a foundation of the city such as ours. Without any of the services we provide or decreased service levels, life would be much different than we know it. I want to thank all of you for your attention during the presentation. Staff and I are available to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Council member, did you, Talamantes, were you first? No, that was your last round. Dickinson.
Thank you, Mayor. I very much appreciate the presentations, and I assume that the PowerPoints will be available to us. Someone nod, yes. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. The presentations do generate lots of questions, but I just want to, because of the hour, I had a couple questions, Jackie, actually, for your presentation triggered in particular. And I wondered the extent to which you are already contemplating and your capacity to go after some of the money that's going to be available under Proposition 4. There's community garden money, there's urban forestry money, there's and maybe that's public works and not your domain, but there are several, 2 or 3 categories of Prop 4 money that would be attractive to go after. So can you comment on your capacity and your thinking on that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We have to be really creative during these times, especially to go after any opportunities for grant funding. You saw a report that came to council last week on PIF funding, and so we've been encouraging some of our offices to hold on to some of that PIF funding for matches for when we have a lot of these grant opportunities. So despite our park planning development team's small size, we are going to be aggressively going after any grant opportunities that we can, particularly in our more under-resourced communities that don't have those additional fees for to address some of the park improvements and renovations or development that's needed.
Yeah, and there's farmers markets money in Prop 4. I think there's some really, as I said, attractive opportunities, and I just hope that we will take as much advantage of that as possible.
Absolutely.
I was also curious, and this is really a question actually for more than just you, but the extent to which you're thinking about, and everybody should think about this question, that we're trying to take advantage of and employ technology to help us do things, maintain levels of service even if we don't have as many people as we would like to have. And I wondered if you had some thoughts about how that could help you in particular in Ypsi.
Sure. Well, our park ranger team, for example, last year transitioned to Salesforce, so implemented improved technology to better respond to 311 calls. So that's an example of, I think, where we'll continue to see some improvements in our response times. As we're reevaluating what our community center operations look like, for example, and our reliance on customer service, finding more creative ways to be accessible and provide customer service using technology is something that we're looking at as well. So we're going to continue to kind of evaluate that as we work through some of these strategies and always look for ways to implement where we can.
Yeah, thank you. And as I said, this is obviously a broader question than just for you. But if you go to the doctor these days, the doctor is likely to say, "Are you okay if I have AI do the notes for our visits? Because then I can spend more time talking to you as the patient." I mean, this has lots of different applications, and AI is just one form of technology that I think we could take advantage of. Although sometimes government and technology is an oxymoron, I realize. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was the extent to which there might be an opportunity either to find partners with businesses or foundations for some of the things, particularly that you do with parks. A number of years ago, we actually the county arranged for, it was something like a Adopt a Mile program, but for the creeks, And so companies that would donate got recognition and signage on the creeks in the unincorporated area as a result of that. And I wonder if that's something that might be a feasible way of augmenting funding with some non-public sources.
Absolutely. It's something we're certainly willing and open to exploring. We work really closely with our Parks Commission, and one of their sort of part of their charter is to help support donations and contributions and volunteerism in our parks. And so I know in working with the Parks Commission right now on their goals for this next year, that's one of the things that they're going to be focusing on. So I think working with our partners to identify more creative ways of funding, working very closely with a lot of our associations, our neighborhood groups that are really invested and committed to providing support for those spaces and leveraging some of that support, being able to give them the tools and resources they need to join our staff and whether it's performing big cleanups or volunteer efforts in our parks, but certainly open to getting even more creative with seeing what sort of opportunities are out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a range of things, as I mentioned, this Creeks program, but naming rights,
Right.
a whole list of things that for parks are probably more attractive to folks in the private sector or the foundation world than not too many people want to buy a wastewater pipe, even if it is going to Seattle. So maybe there's some opportunities there.
Yeah, we actually are revisiting right now our very outdated naming policy, but are open to engaging with interested partners. We just approved, this council just approved a naming of the last unnamed park, or ball field at Land Park, and with a generous donation to perform renovations at the park. And so that's something we haven't historically done, but we are certainly open to considering those sort of opportunities, knowing how we have to get a lot more creative moving forward.
And, years ago, the River Cats really funded the adaptive leisure ballpark at the Pinnell Center.
Yes.
And I don't know if they still or since have. I mean, they really covered the most, if not all, of the capital costs. I don't know if their foundation has continued to contribute, but there are those kinds of things that historically have been available that I think we just have to try to think about and explore.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Mayor.
Councilmember Vang.
Thanks, Mayor. I will keep this short because we got 5 minutes until our next meeting. First of all, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank Ryan Moore. Where is he? Hi. Really want to thank you for your leadership, and also Matt, Pravani, and Jackie for the overview of our various, just the departments. I mean, you are the backbone of this city. Nothing gets done without our incredible staff, and really, I'm always blown away every year of all of the things that you do for our families, our residents, all the unseen things that we don't see as well. So really just wanted to say thank you for that. I just had one question. It was really around the parks. In particular, last year we also made some tough decisions. We didn't lay anyone off. That was one of our goals. But because of that, we had to figure out how to balance by either, making cuts or increasing revenues in terms of community centers and services. And I know that for us to balance the budget, we did actually increase fees. And so I know that we set aside scholarship funding for seniors, for youth, for families that might not have the means to participate in city services. And so my question is really, the dollars that we set aside for scholarships, have we used them all? Do we anticipate using them all? What are the challenges, lesson learned this year, so that as we're moving forward, because we're gonna have to make even tougher decisions and tougher cuts, so that we can implement those as we're having conversations about budget. And so wanted to really ask about that piece in particular. I think that's really important because it's just the first time that we're doing it. I know there was concerns that creating scholarship could be additional barriers because now students and seniors have to apply. So would love to hear a little bit more about lessons learned, challenges, what's working, what's not working. start there.
Thank you for that question. It's a great question. And we'll be prepared to bring back more information on the progress of the Youth Program Scholarship Fund. You saw in the presentation last year, we awarded over $62,000 in aquatics program scholarships. So we obviously anticipate that number to increase significantly because we've expanded the eligible programs that now qualify for the scholarship fund. Because it was just, that budget was just enhanced or augmented at this current budget year, we didn't start the scholarship program with its expanded opportunities until September. So I think we'll really see the accessibility, the impacts, maybe have some lessons learned after we get through this summer. I can tell you right now that we've so far awarded 254 scholarships, which means we have qualified 254, and these numbers are a couple weeks old, so I'm sure the number has grown, but we've qualified 254 individuals for scholarships. Once you qualify for a scholarship, you are eligible to participate in any of those programs. You don't have to reapply. So that's, again, us making our best effort to remove any potential barriers for families. But some of our programs as part of our reduction strategies this last year was to have some nominal fee increases. So you'll see that for some of the summer programs that are coming up this year. And we're hoping to see the benefits of the scholarship program there. There's still a healthy balance in both the scholarship, youth program scholarship fund, the Heart Trust Fund that supports our Heart Fund Pass for older adults, and also the community center fee waiver and fee reduction relief funding, one-time funding that our former mayor added to the budget last year for us. But we do anticipate, as we see a full year with these slightly increased fees and people are continuing to come to our programs, and I'm certain that because much of that funding was one time, we will eventually run out of funding. We'll have more information that'll report back after we see what the actual use looks like.
Thanks, Jackie. Really appreciate that, and looking forward to kind of hearing a little bit more later in the few weeks as we're talking about budget, some of the lessons learned around the scholarship. So I really appreciate that. And then lastly, just wanted to echo Councilmember Dickinson around State Proposition 4. I think this is such a great opportunity for us as a city to apply for those grants. But what makes us competitive is making sure we actually have money set aside for matching dollars. And I know that given our budget, it will be incredibly hard, which is the reason why I think exploring a potential park bond, and I just want to put that on record, is that there's been a lot of advocates in East Sacramento, North Sac, South Natomas, Meadowview. Folks in the community have been rallying and meeting to talk about a potential park bond because we have so much deferred maintenance. And so just wanted to share that with the community. I know I've been in conversation with Councilmember Phil Pluckybaum as well about potential park bond. Have been in beginning conversation with you, Jackie, and City Manager Laney as well. And I think that's really important because if we don't figure out a source of revenue, we're not going to be competitive for those state grants. And a lot of those dollars are actually for underserved communities. There's language around the state proposition. So we need to figure out a source of revenue to be competitive. And so, again, just really want to say thank you for your leadership in parks. And to Pravani and Matt, just thank you so much for all your heart and hustle. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oops, I'm out of it. Okay. Yes, no more comments from council members. This is an informational item only, no vote tonight. We do have public comment.
I have two speakers on this item, Mac Worthy and Keon Bliss. Mr. Worthy?
Oh, yeah. It's the meaning of maintenance. Maintenance can mean a lot of things. The maintenance with the interior, we see a lot of your buildings that 2 or 3 people that 100 square foot. The money that you're putting out, we wonder about it. Now, you talk of kids working. Have those kids, any of them left that and went someplace else for the experience they got? These are the things when programs work, where that person can get that and move on as that does. On our drinking water, are we still using ammonia in the treatment center? That's the biggest thing we're using over here in Land Park is ammonia. We see that it's sad. Now, safe streets, we began to throw that word around. Ain't such thing as a safe street in America. Now, over on T Street, we got the buses sug up again, and that sign in the middle there, that divided lane, they knock it down. So who repair that? I've seen it knocked down twice in 1 month. The buses shouldn't be trying to make that turn on T Street onto that street. But that go to show you the quality of management. You got to get out there and see those things. Go out there and look at what's going on. Why are those wheels been skinned up against the side curbs, the middle divider? Because the driver don't know what he's doing. I drove a 590 Crown right here in Sacramento. But I don't know what you mean by some things here, but I tell you, you're gonna have to wake up. And that many kids, and you can't show no statistics of where the kids left there and went when they got old enough. They don't stay there the rest of their life. If that's the program, then they're all programs designed to fail.
Thank you for your comments. Keon Bliss.
I wish that these budget conversations, and something I said in the Budget and Audit Committee, were actually supportive and open to the public to actually give comment on it, because as you all are seeing, we're running up on the 5 p.m. City Council meeting. This is a special meeting at 2 p.m. when most of us are working, and you're only getting 2 comments on 3 of the biggest departments in the city, among the biggest divisions of the city. And I have to really name that this is just a how little seems to be changing within the culture of city management as well as city council that is just grouping all of these together. I mean, the Sacramento Police Department item was misleading in saying that it was as if it was focused squarely on Prop 36, when actually the department was giving its overall department operations and budget presentation that members of the community would actually benefit from participating in. Oh, it is going to be another one? Fantastic. That's good to hear, but it would be easy to confuse it, and I really hope that it's actually at a time when members of the public can participate, such as at 5 p.m., when most people are finally off work. But you're hearing, there's a lot that could be said around that. And when we're talking about balancing the budget, I really hope that majority of you on this council aren't just thinking about balancing expenditures with revenue, that you're actually thinking about how we are actually proportioning payments among some of our hardest work. Because to me, 73% of our discretionary spending goes to public safety, and there's nothing balanced in that, especially when you have municipal services departments that are having hundreds of vacancies, struggling to keep staff, and $1.6 billion in deferred maintenance. Thank you.
Mayor, I have no more speakers. You've concluded the business of the council for this afternoon.
Thank you. We will adjourn this 2 p.m. meeting, and the 5 p.m. meeting will start in 15 minutes. That's roughly 5:22, something like that. If I can't see from here? No, 5:27. There we go. Need glasses. Okay.